does too, and everybody knows why you're bringing me.
What's going on, buddy?
When push comes to shove, I'm the meal.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call. Wimbledon has been paying out $2 million every year for the past 17 years on insurance for a pandemic. And so they paid $34 million into this insurance. They're going to collect over $100 million from the insurance policy.
Yeah. How much easier was it for them to cancel the tournament once knowing that?
Shame on me because I thought it was grass. Thought it was
grass.
Yeah, like you got to dried out grass in August or the fall. You can't hold Wimbledon on its grass court. Little did I know that this was an easy decision to cancel this bad boy and collect themselves $100+ million. Oh, we won't be having Wimbledon this year. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Great. The ayes have it. Anybody want to process that claim?
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Bum Phillips, Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, the Love You Blue era Houston Oilers. Experience 1970s football with red, white, and Columbia blue. The new audiobook at Houston79.com. A game-by-game recap of the 1979 Houston Oilers season, featuring player interviews and new insights. Step into the huddle for legendary games against the Steelers and Cowboys, and relive one of the most controversial plays ever, the Mike Renfro play. Red, white, and Columbia blue. Download now at Houston79.com. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
What event do you think you'd have any chance of actually getting done? I'm trying to think. I would probably have to learn how to do one of those shooting events. I was never going to be able to do the javelin. I never could have done the shot put. I'm scared of heights, so I damn sure wasn't going to try to do the pole vault and jump over something 20 feet in the air. I don't know that there was anything I could have done. Like the swimming? No. I damn sure wasn't diving unless we could have done a cannonball off the top of the platform. I'm not diving into the water and flipping around like a maniac. You know what? Maybe if I trained for like a year, I might have a shot to play some ping pong against somebody. Although, actually, no. Those dudes are like 40 feet off the table, and they're and that thing's like the ball's just flying everywhere. I could never do that either. So I don't think there's anything I could do in the Olympics.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Introducing AutomotiveMap.com. A brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your
Yo, I'm here.
AutomotiveMap.com.
Good, buddy. You?
If you love and SUVs and
Nice.
the amazing technology hitting your
Hold on
favorite
one
showrooms, check out the
second.
brand new AutomotiveMap.com. Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
This is the problem for a sport like baseball. It is an outdoor sport that must be played in nice weather. And the window for nice weather in certain parts of the country, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, is quite small. I actually am somebody who believes that baseball should be going and playing in Arizona and in Florida once this thing calms down. And I think having teams be centrally located, I think finding a facility, a hotel that probably is empty, and putting your team there, it stinks. You're going to be away from your family. You're going to be away from your normal life. But
Hey, what is Brad Brink's?
He's a celebrity
in New York,
interviewer, if
like
you will. Yeah. So yeah, that's fine. When we get closer, we can tweet. Basically, talking about TV. He also does some gambling stuff too, but mainly like
Is that Jeter's
oh,
problem
he's-
or is that Brady's problem? Does Brady sit there?
he
and
does a
hey,
podcast,
Jeter, you
a
need to take care of
YouTube
this.
show.
I'm
He interviews
So when Brady
superstars,
goes in to
a lot of
Jeter's
celebrities.
house, and Jeter goes, yeah,
And
the
he's
cell
pretty
phone
good,
goes
like,
in
on
the basket.
TV
He
and
goes,
movies
no,
and
no,
stuff.
I already gone down this road before with the NFL. No chance. This phone's not going anywhere
In
near
fact,
that
let
basket.
me.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call. Tom Brady's going to be living at Jeter's house.
First thought went through my mind, what if you need to replace the dishwasher? Is that
Yeah.
Jeter's problem or is that Brady's problem? Does Brady sit there and like, hey, Jeter, you need to take care of this. I'm not going to pay you rent.
So when
That's
Brady
Brad's
goes
number.
in to Jeter's house, And Jeter goes,
If you mind just
goes to
giving
the
him a
basket, he
text
goes,
that
"Oh,
like
no, no, no,
when
no,
we
hurry
break
up,
or like
goes
six,
to the
maybe
ball,
when we
the
come back
NFL,
in that
no
second
chance.
segment.
This ball's
What's up,
not
Trevor?
anywhere near that basket.
If we could do
Wake Up
that,
Call
just text
with
them.
Tony D and Ron Colbert.
I can too,
Weekday mornings.
but you remember.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage. During these challenging times, our commitment to providing you
All
with
right,
the best mortgage experience remains. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. Mortgage rates remain near historic lows. If you think that now is the right time to refinance your mortgage, our home loan experts are available to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
This is SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Mike's out.
I hope you didn't think that would be the end, right? Like that would be it. That whole Oreo conversation would die at the end of last night's program. We actually got a ton of reaction. Shocker. On social media. So I have an update this hour. There was a story I wanted to get to last night, but we just had so much wrapped up in horse versus competitive eating that we couldn't get to it. So I promise you this hour, the Seinfeld game that you didn't know you needed, yet nobody wants. I'll explain that this hour. Also, something came in my lap and I figured, well, I might as well talk about it. And yes, I'll be on tomorrow, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 Eastern time, PM Eastern time here. But since it's so fresh and since it has to do with the NFL, specifically my Philadelphia Eagles, and there are people in the greater Philadelphia area who are watching the show, I thought, all right, well, it's worth at least exploring today. Now, you may think that the only thing on tonight is The Last Dance, which we'll talk about, trust me, in detail. There are some other things popping, not only tonight, but just in general. And you're probably going crazy. You're probably at that point, stir crazy, where you can't watch another rerun and you're trying to search for something. Or maybe you haven't caught on yet with some of these great shows that are going on, movies as well. So we've tracked down one of the top entertainment minds in the business, a man who has access to any of the stars you either love or hate on the big screen, from HBO shows to Netflix to movies. Brad Blanks is going to join us at 6:40. He's also a pretty good gambling mind. So whenever we have somebody on, and I don't care wherever they're from, I mean, doesn't matter, whatever sports betting capacity, it's interesting to kind of explore what life is like now without anything to bet on, or if that person has gone full swing, if you will, and just dominated the Belarus or whatever other international soccer is available. Here's what I'd say. Edited version. That's where we'll start. I also have this nugget that I'm going to express at the very least. Can't predict the future, but I'm pretty close to it right now with the Eagles. And the edited version of The Last Dance at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show is how you can follow along right here on SB Nation Radio.
As the novel coronavirus pandemic escalates in the U.S., public health officials are encouraging those who are experiencing signs or symptoms of COVID-19, such as coughing or fever, to seek medical guidance remotely. If you or a loved one are feeling sick or are just feeling worried, there is a way to get help without leaving home. Ro, the parent company of Roman, is offering free telehealth services for people seeking guidance and information on COVID-19. The service is available free of charge in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. Ro's free online assessment will help determine if you are at risk, and if appropriate, Ro will connect you with a medical provider for a free consultation. The assessment is designed by doctors and infectious disease experts and is based on guidelines from the CDC and the World Health Organization.
So I don't know, either you guys have kids, Trevor or Philly?
On your phone or laptop to complete
I don't think
free
Trevor,
online
you do, right?
assessment or to just learn more.
I
If you're worried that you may be experiencing
don't know, something about you just, I don't feel like you have kids yet.
To start your free
To be
assessment
fair, I don't
today,
either.
That's ro.co/coronavirus.
You guys letting, if you did, I mean, is there an age restriction? Is there a cutoff now for this thing?
The company is
On the, sorry, I was talking on the Twitch thing. No, just as far as the age restriction for this. Like, is there a rating for this Last Dance?
Would be an understatement. Then came the pandemic.
My guess is it would be. Oh, it depends on what kind of. Is there gonna be cussing?
Well, I don't know. Like, to what level?
It's got to be mature. Because I heard a clip of it, right? And we bleeped Jordan yesterday, but was it bleeped when it came out? Like, if he's able to say the F word, it's gonna be mature.
Want to support a great American company? Visit SurfCityStillworks.com and enter radio for 20% off of any home delivery of their spirits. You can also donate. That's promo code radio for 20% off at SurfCityStillworks.com. Cheers.
Attention all time.
I don't know, man. That seems so strange. ESPN2, right. Neither one of you have kids. Okay. Well, we'll get more people on here as we open up the Periscope.
Timeshare compliance. Timeshare compliance can legally terminate, tear up, shred, eliminate.
Unedited. That's right. So that's what we're trying to figure out here. When we come back, we'll talk about this for you guys out there too watching, because it doesn't make much sense.
Or you overpaid
and I can't imagine it's just bleeps. That's it. We're just doing bleeps.
With one simple call, that trusted professional
you can hear on the stream
can legally rip off your timeshare agreement and help rip off your financial suffering. You could save thousands. Call now.
How does that sound, John?
Timeshare sounds good. The Better Business Bureau.
You can hear the commercials and everything too, right?
2963.
Yeah.
63.
See, this is unfiltered access here that people have watching this show. They can hear the commercials, they can hear conversations with you and myself, and they can interact too. They can talk about it.
This is SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan.
So, we go a couple of days without checking the mail. I think that's kind of normal now, depending on where you are, I guess, throughout the country. At least here in the Northeast in Philadelphia, I don't know every single person, but we might go a couple of days. What's it going to be now? Bills that you're trying to delay paying as far off as humanly possible. More spam mail that comes in the form of these packets and these catalogs. And then anything pertinent is usually sent now via eDoc. So there's no real reason to check it every single day. And there's also the fear, everybody has a fear of touching things. It's been a couple of days. And when was Easter? A week ago, right? Last Sunday into Passover as well. So our neighbors, and they're great people, gave us this bag of chocolate eggs. And they are amazing. And it's a happy Easter Passover gift here. And now I'm thinking, all right, well, what's the proper response? Because they've got a couple of young boys over there next door. And we're not really a shocker, if you can imagine. We're not the life of the party in the neighborhood. Pretty much keep to us. The dog is the only real issue. That's about it. Other than that, nobody knows who the hell we are. And we like it that way, trust me. But what's the and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, what's the proper return? They're kids, so do I give them chocolate in return? And now this looks like it might have been sent everything in the world at least shut down, not so much local stuff being shut down. So I have to order stuff, right? I can't risk it and go to a CVS or something like that just to pick up chocolate eggs to return that. That's all. Now it's a very big Pandora's box that's been opened about how to specifically return this, because I feel like just a card isn't enough. Stop right there if you're thinking, well, Shander, just write a card and you'll be good. Well, first off, the holidays are over. And it looks like I'm either a monster and just inhaled their chocolate and didn't send anything back, or I'm negligent and don't check my mailbox every couple of days. Either way, there must be some way in which I can slide into that lane, if you will, and provide, with the help of the household here, of course, provide a good response to that. Now, people already responding at Shander Shows. How you can follow along, twitch.tv/Shander Show, and also SB Nation Radio and the SB Nation Radio app. Drumheller comes in here on Twitch, X_Drumheller. I'd let my 11-year-old watch. It's good insight into someone who is obsessed with being their best version, not worried about language. So why? And this is the question that I had more so than even if you would let your kids watch it. And thanks, Mark, for allowing us that springboard here into the conversation. But why wouldn't you? What's the age? And again, I'm not a parent, but I feel like having these conversations is enlightening for people that are parents because you get different responses, and people that, like myself, interact with parents. And something like this, which is a huge big picture documentary, it's interesting to see how the approach is, especially when you have the option. So ESPN2 is now running the censored TV 14 version. ESPN is showing the TVMA, the mature audience version. And thinking about this, what exactly would be the difference? Language, right? There's not going to be a sex scene that's edited out. This isn't Daryl Hannah in Splash, where ESPN or Disney Plus, pardon me, edited out a sex scene in that movie, and now all of a sudden the Splash purists are going insane. This is one thing. That's it. That's it. It's not a sex scene. There's not a shoot 'em up. Well, look, we had that one scene in the documentary where Jordan was cornered in the back of the arena, and the only way he could get out was with a Tommy gun and just eliminate 50 people and empty a clip into a crowd to get the hell out. That's going to be on the TVMA version, but kids won't be able to see that. What are you really editing out here? Bleeps. Is that it? Is that the difference? And what words? I think, honestly, the F-bomb would probably be the biggest topic, the biggest subject of debate here. Well, I don't want my 10-year-old watching, or I don't want my 8-year-old watching Michael Jordan drop F-bomb after F-bomb. Is that really what's going to happen tonight? Again, I'm trying to explore this from as reasonable or as much of a point of logic as possible. I know that doesn't always come across with me and in general, but what's the benefit outside of a couple? I think about this. Is it going to be riddled throughout? Is it going to be every fifth word, something like right out of The Sopranos, or just dialogue, The Wire, just constant cursing? I don't think so. That wasn't discussed, at least ahead of time. Stuff like that wasn't leaked. I know that there are some cuts that have bleeps in them, but even still, is that really the difference? What else could it possibly be? Let's start there. Just take a second, exhale, think about this. You've got the TVMA version on ESPN. You've got the ESPN2 version, which is the TV 14. Gave you a response already from Drumheller. One on Twitter, Avalon Brian. Mine are 10 and 12. We're watching the unedited. It's not a porno. They've heard it before. That might be the best. I mean, what else are you possibly getting out of this? Don't you want, again, I don't know, thinking through, I don't know what they would add into this. You've already eliminated sex. You've already eliminated violence. It's not like in the TVMA version, you actually get to see Michael Jordan punch a teammate, whereas in the TV 14 version, you're only told about it. And I do agree. I think Mark on Twitch, Avalon Brian on Twitter, you can hit us up on the phone, 800-224-2004. There is also something universal, I think, in that approach, which is I want my kids to see who Michael Jordan is. I want to see Michael Jordan in his entirety. All right, so Philly Mick on Twitch. I read on Variety, you'll hear every F-bomb and curse word. Is that all this is going to be? And how insightful is that? Not to say that I'm going to sit there and watch the TV 14 version, but is this the big curtain that's going to be dropped with Michael Jordan? Is this going to be this huge piece, this big nugget that's going to be uncovered? I feel like anybody who is familiar at all with Michael Jordan, and that's a very large, broad brush that you're painting with, understands that he at the very least wasn't a nice dude. Meaning it was a chore to play with Michael Jordan. You got that. We all knew that. But I don't know outside. Are you going to see him drop a bunch of F-bombs on the bench? Hey, Phil, bleep, 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 bleep. Give me the bleeping ball. Okay. Maybe it's something new in that regard that we haven't seen. But remember, this is the last season that everybody's together. You've already had 5 championship seasons before that. You've had a culture that's already been established. This would be like looking at the end of the Patriots dynasty. Well, what happened? Why did things fall apart? I don't know. For me, I feel like going back into that first run in which Jordan was taking over the world would be way more of a reveal than when we already knew about him, really to an extent across the board, especially because even in hindsight, but forget that, we can see that his career was over. We knew that Jordan was out. We knew that year. We all knew it. The 2 Jerrys at the top told us, this is it. You're not going to get anything. Yeah, this is right to Disney editing Splash, taking out a sex scene in Splash because, oh my goodness, kids might see this. I don't know, 10, 12, 8, I don't know what the cutoff is. If you're going to watch Michael Jordan, and if the idea, and I'm not trying to tell you how to parent, that's why I'm asking, not even suggesting. But if the idea is to watch Michael Jordan in his true moment, is to show your kids 10, 12, as Avalon Bryan says, or for Drumheller, let me make sure I get the right age, 11. So 10, 11, 12, right there in that range. Is that good? Is that the meat of it? Like, would you allow your 8-year-old son or your 8-year-old daughter to watch the mature edition tonight, knowing that it's probably riddled with cursing, and maybe it's a lot of cursing that they don't normally get in 3rd or 4th grade, which is fair, right? Not to say that it's a ton happening, but who the hell knows at this point what kids are saying? Is that enough? Or are you driving right now? You're listening right now. You're following along in the app or on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shanders Show, thinking, man, that's way too young. I don't even agree with Avalon Bryan, Drumheller, or any of these other guys. 10, 11, 12. I wouldn't let my 10-year-old watch Michael Jordan drop F-bomb after F-bomb. I'd feel more comfortable if they watched it either bleeped out or just not there in its own right. But isn't this whole idea, as I kind of turn back and be a little hypocritical, isn't the whole idea of this thing to show you, right? Isn't that to show you exactly who Michael Jordan was, to give you as raw of a look at who Jordan was? And the only blowback, not that it's gigantic, but the only big blowback you're going to get for the most part is, well, we've kind of already known this. You're going to explore some of the more deeper issues he has with gambling. Okay, that's fine. We knew that that was a huge problem a couple of years back, right down to him leaving the NBA for 2 years. Where is it? Where is it that this thing breaks from the, yeah, we knew that already, to, okay, not only did I have no idea about that, but it was presented in a pretty cool way. Now, I do think that you're going to walk away tomorrow morning, water cooler, the virtual water cooler, mind you, whatever Zoom work meeting you're in or text chain you're in, whatever email back and forth, constant chain that's going on for work or whatever. It's going to be mentioned. It's going to be brought up. Oh, did you see this thing? And it will be fascinating to see the difference, especially on social media, the range of people that will respond to this. Some will look at this because they're young and it's not their fault. They weren't alive. Just like in 20 years when something like this comes out with LeBron, people will be like, huh, you kidding me? You never saw this guy take on an entire team and win? With Jordan, how much of it you think on Monday will come out and change or enlighten or open up this door for people who had no idea about Mike? And can you not get that without the full unedited version? Can you really? Is the only difference, and again, I don't know, and I don't think anybody here knows either, but is the only real difference a bleep? It's hard for me to think that Disney, who is in control of everything as we see now with ESPN and beyond, ABC and beyond, is going to edit out just or bleep out just curse words. I imagine that adult themes are going to be manipulated here. And again, we're not talking about the sex scene or anything crazy like that. We're just talking about a simple adult theme, which might be Michael Jordan getting in somebody's, you know what, just foot deep, yelling and screaming at somebody. You bleep and bleep, bleep. Isn't that part of the entertainment value? And isn't that part of the educational value? Again, this might raise a deeper issue of censorship in its own right, and which is why I think it's worthy of discussing, because we're not talking about something simple and obvious, which is like, oh, that's offensive to 90% of the population. Doesn't mean that it should be censored. It just means it's an easier conversation to have when 90% of the population is in agreement, as opposed to, I don't know how many people right now are looking at this thinking, you know what, I'm not letting my kids watch this. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show is how you watch, subscribe. We're giving out that $50 gift card we told you on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Shander Show. You must be subscribed. Also, before we talk about some big things happening in TV outside of The Last Dance at 6:40 Eastern with Brad Blanks, Seinfeld game that you never thought would exist, that you never thought you needed, that apparently a lot of people don't. We'll get to that coming up. It's SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call. Who as a country do we trust enough to, when they go, you can go back to work, you can go to sports arenas, and that we go, absolutely, thanks.
Is it Dr. Fossey?
Is it him? Because he's like, we may never be able to shake hands ever again.
Why is your Dr. Fossey voice one step away from Gilbert Gottfried?
I know, right? On the one hand, I want to know what the other hand is doing. And my Dr. Fauci impression is more like, well, it's more like, if you have two people in a room, it's better if one of them leaves. So in the future, let's say you're taking your family to a restaurant, and it's
these are the eggs, see?
It's better to just get 14.
So I don't know what to get them.
And please limit the visitation to maybe once every 2 weeks. That would be the best.
I got a card, I know that.
Under control.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Hey everybody, Arju Ochoa here from SB Nation's blog.
Are those eggs, are you supposed to pay them back?
The web, and did you know that we have a...
Well, yeah, I feel like, I have to give them something back. They gave me these chocolate eggs, and I'm the only one that's eating them.
You just felt like you had to give something back, or you were actually obliged, like you bought them or something?
No, I need to give them something back.
Yeah. I just didn't know if there was an actual transaction that needed to take place.
No, not yet. I feel like it's just the neighborly thing to do, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I see them a lot, so.
If they give you chocolate, give them a different type of chocolate back. Something different.
The NFL realizes right now, if we go
on online and order some Godiva or something and send it to them.
Some Godiva, huh?
out of all
Just trying to spend all my money.
More money out of the television network. For the television networks, it's simple. For all the BS talk of fans who were out there that said, look, we're going to boycott the game for whatever. Whether it was players off the field activities, whether it was kneeling for the flag, whether it was the game changing and the way they're taking away some of the hard hits. People said they weren't going to participate, not going to watch. Like 9 of the top 10 programs throughout the year are NFL games. So say whatever you want. People are consuming the National Football League. And if the NFL looks at this and says, I can make more money by having more games, they're going to have more games.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com. This is SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studio.
Mike's hot.
Gender.
Matt Williams tweets at FootballMatt87. If you let your kids play Fortnite with headphones on, you already expose your kids to far worse than a grown man using explicit language on TV. The difference is when kids have their headphones on, they don't have to acknowledge the foul language. Well, I'll say this, as far as video games and the online community, I doubt you're going to hear anything worse from The Last Dance TVMA than you would. And this, let me preface this by saying, this doesn't mean that only kids who play video games and are exposed to the online community should be watching this. It means a lot more, I would say, about the, I guess, the optics of it, but mostly about Michael Jordan and learning about Michael Jordan. And do we do this with anybody else? I mean, isn't this part of reality TV and this crazy world in which this voyeuristic world that we live in, where it's just sitting on your couch and watching reality TV, which is essentially shows about people, about famous people and what they're doing? What's different? Here, you're trying to get as behind the scenes as possible. You're trying to get as much of a piece of insight or nugget or something new if you follow this man for his entire career. Or if you're brand new to Jordan, then just learn about him. You know, you got the watered down version. I just don't know what age it would possibly be. Now, we're going to get back to this coming up at 7 o'clock, Eastern time at least, when we roll out the second hour. But I want to at least mention this before we shift gears and chat with Brad Blanks coming up in 8 minutes. First question for Brad is, what the hell are you doing now without anything to gamble on? The Philadelphia Eagles, I've deduced through a couple of different outlets and my own just reading of what they have done in the past, and really where we are right now in a very unique draft board and scenario where it's all virtual. But Howie Roseman has proven this time and time again, that as it gets closer to his pick, meaning where the Eagles are, or a certain position or even a player that he has his eyes on, he's going to move. And if he realizes that a certain player is going to be available at, let's say 21 where they're picking, and will be available all the way back at, let's say, 30, then watch them move back. Watch the Philadelphia Eagles move back. And this is probably going to be something you can apply to other teams that are anywhere from, 12, 13 back. And the Eagles fit that bill at 21. If you need a wide receiver and you can't trade up to get one of the top three, chances are you're going to look to trade back. Again, if that's your goal. And I do believe, as much as Kenneth Murray has been linked, the inside linebacker from Oklahoma, to a Philadelphia Eagles draft board and number one, which wouldn't be bad at 21 by any means. I think what happens is teams, and this is the big picture for the draft, teams are going to be apprehensive to make huge moves where they're constantly looking at this virtual world and talking to people that aren't physically next to them. Hey, can we do it? Can we do it? Pausing the draft is one thing, but pulling the trigger on a huge move where it's all done through some Zoom webinar and you're not used to doing that and it's all brand new to you, human nature kicks in at that point. It does. Human nature steps in and it makes you just pull up a little bit. And all you need is that one little shred of doubt. Not fear, but doubt. I don't know if that's the right move. We're pouring a lot into getting Jerry Jeudy. Pouring a ton into moving up. It's going to make a lot of sense if you see this thing play out. Understand why. The Philadelphia Eagles will identify a wide receiver, will identify a smaller speedster that's not one of the top three, and say, we can get him at 30. We can get him at 28. We can trade back with Miami. We can trade back with Green Bay. we can get something of, even if it's an extra third or fourth round pick. And it might be more than that. You never know if a deal for Alshon Jeffrey might get worked in on draft night. That's something contrary to giving up picks and going crazy when you can't see anything except your computer screen. They will do anything possible, if it makes sense, of course, and under the realm of possibility. Sanity, maybe, is the better word, to move on from Alshon Jeffrey. They're at that point, right? Like, come on, man, let's just go. Can we get something? Can we get something? Well, that's just going to release him. We can designate him but we're not going to do that June 1st thing just yet. We're going to try and trade him and get something back. Well, maybe he's like one of those add-ins right there at the end of the trade. Okay, we got this. You're going to get this, our 21st pick. Move back. Maybe we'll throw in a fourth pick. And what do you think about Alshon Jeffrey? Wait. What is that? Try to slip in another player here. It's easier said than done, but don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if the Eagles use their leverage. They don't have leverage on trading Alshon Jeffrey moving up. They don't. They do have leverage all of a sudden, a little bit more at least, than negative leverage if they're looking to trade back. Trading back, identifying a player, knowing it's the same position you can draft or wanted to draft with the top three guys. Watch that play out. I already know the kid from TCU. Eagles have reached out to his coach. They are interested big time. That's going to be the play right there. I've been wrong before. Freezing takes has got me before. Not Brad Blanks, though. He's next.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage. During these challenging times, our commitment to providing you with the best mortgage experience remains. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. Mortgage rates remain near historic lows. If you think that now is the right time to refinance your mortgage, our home loan experts are available to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 33.
Attention all timeshare owners. Is this what you'd like to do with your timeshare contract? Do you own a timeshare and just want out? Thousands of timeshare owners are getting out of their timeshare contracts. With the help of Timeshare Compliance, Timeshare Compliance can legally terminate, tear up, shred, eliminate, trash your timeshare agreement, ending your payments forever, saving you thousands. So whether you're a victim of a high-pressure, dishonest sales agent, or you were misled with what you were buying, or you overpaid and they underdelivered, call Timeshare Compliance now for a free consultation. With one simple call, the trusted professionals at Timeshare Compliance can legally rip off your timeshare agreement and help rip off your financial suffering. You could save thousands. Call now before another payment is due. Timeshare Compliance is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Call 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963.
Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com.
All right, I'm here.
Non-attorney paid spokesperson. Could your house go into foreclosure? Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Does it seem like the bank has no interest in helping you save your home and you feel like you have nowhere to turn for help? Then we have good news for you. Foreclosure Protection Services can help save your home as they specialize in foreclosure assistance. That's all they do. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-946-1013. Their network of attorneys and their agents.
All right, he's on for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
If you're behind on your mortgage payments, Foreclosure Protection Services can help stop the foreclosure process. Call today before it's too late. New laws are in effect that may save your home. Call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-946-1013. 800-946-1013. That's 800-946-1013.
This is SB Nation Radio,
and SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios.
Mike's hot.
All right, so a lot of discussion, right, about The Last Dance. It's something that the sports community finally has, if you want to call it live action, even though it's basically just a bunch of highlights from the Bulls' final year. It doesn't mean that there isn't a ton of other things that we've been talking about in general watching on TV. And the pandemic has shifted a lot of the conversation from, hey, what's going to happen tonight on the floor, on the court, to who's going to die or what's going to be any type of cliffhanger, and shifting as much conversation from watching sports on TV to just watching everything that we can possibly consume on TV, from movies to shows as well. And we go out to the Progressive Guest Line and bring in the top celebrity interviewer, a man who knows TV, film, gambling, and beyond better than anybody, Brad Blanks. You can follow Brad on Twitter, of course, at Brad Blanks. Eitan Shander, SB Nation Radio. Brad, my man, first and foremost, how the hell are you?
Oh, Ethan, going well, mate. I'm, in lockdown. I'm out in Long Island. I got out of Manhattan 5 weeks ago with the missus and the 3 kids, and we've been on a deep lockdown, like the rest of us, 5 weeks. And wow, what a deep dive we've all gone on, on life and movies and TV, and as you said in there that I love to gamble. Geez, gambling's been a whole new a new philosophy as well.
Well, what are you gambling on, if anything, right now that there's nothing available?
Yeah, well, there was a little bit of a look at Belarusian.
There you go.
I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yes, correctly. But I'll tell you what, Remington Park, Oklahoma City, Remington Park horse racing. It's like watching greyhound dogs, but they're actually horses. It's fascinating. They run on a straight track over about 300 meters, 300 yards, and it's quite exhilarating. It's over before you know it, but you get to figure out if you're number one, and then you see if your account's gone up. So I've been doing a bit of that.
Now, how much of this did you know ahead of time versus how much did you have to learn due to the pandemic?
Well, I'm a horse racing fan, because I think we've spoken from the Kentucky Derby before.
That's right.
I love the horses. That's all right, but there's still horses that run over a distance that a greyhound dog runs over. That's still new to me. So you've got to sort of analyse the betting moves more than sort of analyse the form. But you've got a problem when you're starting to learn, hot Latino jockeys that race in Oklahoma City.
Look,
verging on a problem.
Anything,
but it is a pandemic, and we are on lockdown. So that's right.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep it together. No, you're right. Any type of research to make a buck. Now, when you can't bet on the typical stuff, by all means. I'm with you.
Now, you said TV. We've all been streaming, right? So
yeah.
Ozark came out at a pretty good time, and Tiger King. You probably got your old 80s, costumes on and watching Tiger King yourself, are you?
Well, let me start first with Tiger King, because we need to talk about a couple of other things. But how about this? Before we even open up the book that is Tiger King, you watched everything already. Before the pandemic hit, there was, you're our go-to guy across the country. Scott Shannon in New York, all over the country, all over the world, people are going to you about TV shows. So when the pandemic hits and you're locked down, what do you watch since you've watched everything already?
Well, that's I struggle. That's been a problem. I've had a few problems. No, I have, and it's a weird one. And you know what also happens? Look, I've got to be completely honest with you. I've gone in this lockdown period. I've gone like a bit ADD. So you don't get, all your friends and a lot of your family members and all over the world. But my mum back in Australia, everyone's sitting down at night and streaming. I'm a little bit agitated. I don't know if it's race 5 at Remington Park I'm worrying about, or trying to having some 7 p.m. tip off in the basketball was usually my time. So I think there's some issues. I think I've been streamed out of society.
Well, you're staying busy. Yeah, absolutely. But you are staying busy and will alert people. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, Brad. I was about to alert people to the Instagram page at Brad Blankswell. And you've done a couple of interviews regarding the Tiger King. You're all over this, so it's not like you've just been hunkered down in the pandemic. You're still working. These are 2 interviews you have regarding the Tiger King.
You're still working. Yeah, so you're like this. So Rick Kirkham, the guy who turned up, he's been in every episode of Tiger King, but he's the guy that they film and he's sort of sitting in a bar, smoking a cigarette, looks like a stereotypical hardened journalist. And Rick had a mental breakdown out of, by spending a year of his life with Joe Exotic. And as we saw in the show, I don't think I'm spoiling it too much.
That's okay. You can spoil.
There as the producer to turn Joe into a reality TV star. So, he got, all the footage got burnt in a fire after they had an argument. It turns out Rick Kirkham lives in the far north of Norway now. He married a woman up there who, I assume being a Norwegian woman that she was very attractive, but I've since seen video of her. She's not that good.
Might be the anomaly.
That, Rick's happy. He lives. I know. He lives up there. So a mate of mine lives in Oslo, and he said, Rick's up for a chat if you want to talk to him. I said, I'd love to talk to Rick. So I had a really good chat with Rick about life, and he's very upset with Joe Exotic, and he said that Joe Exotic sent him pretty much to the mental house, like really sent him into depression, and he still sees a psychologist to this day because of the manipulation under the power of the gay, redneck, gun-toting, big cat lover.
Wow. That is, look, I don't know if anybody would have got that without reaching out and getting that interview there. That's pretty crazy, especially for the people who have seen the show, to add a little context to it.
Yeah, crazy. And then the other day, I thought I'd dive into Harvey Levin from TMZ, and he, it's interesting talking to that guy. We always see Harvey leaning over.
Sure.
Cubicle on the TMZ show, drinking a big iced coffee, right?
Yes. Now, what did you get from Harvey regarding the Tiger? Any insight from Harvey regarding the show?
Yeah, it's interesting because they did that big show on Fox, the TMZ presents, and it was actually not it was like a summary pretty much of the Netflix show. But what I learned from Harvey was he's a little bit on Joe Exotic's side, that he was sort of manipulated and set up and sort of pushed, into the fact that he was convicted for this trial of maybe, it's not maybe, he was convicted of paying money to have someone murder Carol Baskin.
Right.
And Harvey was like, maybe he shouldn't have went to jail. He had a bad lawyer. And then you look at Carol Baskin, and Harvey Levin seems to think that maybe she did feed her first husband to the Tigers. So that was a good twist. And then going out listening to people out in the world, there's a lot of people that really like Joe Exotic, which I found fascinating because I think he's completely off his head.
Well, does that shock you that somebody like Joe Exotic could get his own following in this country? You know where we are right now.
No. I know.
He'll be on a ballot in 4 years. Watch it.
Yeah, he will be. He will be. Now, what have you watched? What have you seen? You're a fan. Have you seen anything? Have you watched Ozark?
Absolutely.
Have you dabbled in anything yourself?
Well, here's the thing. Doing radio from home for the last couple of years, I've been prepared for this pandemic coming forever. So not leaving the house and not talking to anybody has been my life. So it's an easy transition to watch. I'll tell you, the show that continues to stand out, and you mentioned it, Ozark, I really, and we've spoiled this for everybody, Brad, so you can say whatever you want about the third season. I thought they had a really good idea and a really good actor in Ben, in the brother for Wendy and Marty, but it felt like it got repetitive. Yeah. And it felt like it might have dragged and ultimately forced the finale to kind of catch up.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And that's the funny thing with that show. It leaves you, you watch it for 2 episodes, you can't keep watching it for the third. So it's a hard one to binge. And when you saw that guy enter at the beginning of the season, you know what's going to happen, right? And we've seen these in other sort of anti-hero shows. The big one the show that I've really liked is Money Heist. If you can get a hold of that one.
I haven't seen that.
To tickle that at all. I'm not sure.
Money Heist.
Oh,
Now,
that's good. Yeah, that's good. Spanish film. Yeah, Spanish film, but you get the American dub. You don't have to read the down the subtitles. And don't worry, I do like to read subtitles sometimes, but in this I need to. I want to hear it straight away. It's very exciting. It's a big heist film, something that you really want. Something at the times where Ozark can be lacking.
Right.
Ozark's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it does pee you off a little bit at certain times.
Now, is there something else? Is there something that you're watching that you can't binge? For example, Westworld, right? I can't binge. I have to wait and watch every week. And I'm a little disappointed as far as where the show is going this year. But I don't know if you're watching that or other shows that you kind of have to wait each week for.
Yeah, Westworld, I did the first episode and I went, look, I'm so screwed up with the corona and watching press conferences and doing my morning radio. I need to, and I've got this ADD going. I'm like kind of jacked during this period. I don't know if I think the zombies are coming. I think the zombies have turned back now. They're not coming. I think we're all going to be fine.
Yeah.
That's good. But I needed to really need to concentrate on Westworld. Here's one that I have watched over the weekend, and it's turned out to be a massive show that everyone's watched. It came out on Friday on Netflix. It's huge on Twitter. People are all tweeting about it. It's Too Hot to Handle. It's a reality show, and it's got 10 people, gorgeous, and they get put on an island together. In the first 10 hours, they think that they can all have a bit of a kiss and a cuddle and touch each other. And then the twist is that they cannot touch each other. And if they do, they lose money. So it's like a game show to not, make love.
So it's the anti-bachelor or the anti-survivor if you could actually eat.
Yeah, that's right. But it's very depressing because, I'm happily married with kids now. I've proven that I do have some sort of sex life, but to sit there and watch 23, 24-year-olds, and their whole story is that they actually every weekend just go out and Tinder and swipe right or left or whatever they do, and they're all getting some action. I'm sitting there going, my nostalgia is actually quite disappointing.
Yes.
I was like going to watch football matches and drinking 20 beers and having a laugh with my mate.
Oh, this is great.
I think I was doing something right at the time. But you know what I'm saying? Like, these guys are all going out and doing stuff that I wish I had been doing back then.
Oh, that's amazing.
Very disappointing.
Brad, listen, man, I appreciate this. We'll have to chat soon again because, on the national shows, we never have enough time. But you've left us with 2 really good shows here, Money Heist and Too Hot to, which I see Too Hot to Handle. The show creators say they based it on the Seinfeld episode, The Contest, where they couldn't have any action.
Yeah. That's right up your angle. Exactly. You're going to enjoy it. If you've got children my kids, my 6-year-old daughter and my 8-year-old daughter hacked my Netflix account and they've watched the first 3 episodes. They were very excited by the fact that bikini-clad women get their bottoms rubbed in with sunscreen. I have to explain to my daughters that this doesn't happen in the real world.
That's right.
Right?
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Stay safe.
Thank you. Don't call me a bad parent. I'm just in homeschooling. I'm sorry.
You're a fantastic parent, and we love you for it. Thank you, Brad. Brad Blanks, at Brad Blanks. Make sure you check out his Instagram, Beyond Harvey Levin, and that guy from Tiger King. Anybody that you can think of, Game of Thrones, HBO shows, Netflix shows. He is the preeminent celebrity interviewer. He said something about this show. This actually looks pretty interesting. Too Hot to Handle. We'll wrap the hour next year on Expedition Radio.
Pushing the odds. He's a character.
Oh, man, he's fantastic.
How has
He is,
quarantine life been for you? Probably the
he's
most
awesome.
important word that we can all
consider is patience with everybody. I know everybody's sort of going stir crazy. I mean, let's face it, this is something we're not used to as a society. We move quite rapidly, but now we're forced to sort of reevaluate the important things in life. I think it's good in that regard. Matt, I've said this for a long time. If you have your health, you have wealth. Wealth has nothing to do with what your bank account looks like. If you have your health, then you are a very wealthy person. Now it's important that we understand that you want to be able to keep social distancing so that everybody can stay healthy. And the more we can practice that, every day that we can practice that, every day we can buy a day for the scientists to be able to come up with a cure or a vaccine, it's a day closer to having this craziness end. And life will never be the same.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
We don't know that 16 days from now, things might not be trending in a good direction. I'm going to continue to take the glass half full approach. I'm continuing to plan as if college football and pro football is going to happen in the fall, and that we're going to have the NBA by June at some point. I'm thinking by June, we're going to have NBA back, baseball will be up and running. We may be playing in front of
Yeah, man, he's
for a while,
so
be it.
he gets all these great interviews. During Game of Thrones, he was interviewing like two or three of the stars, Ozark, all this shit. So he's on this show, New York, Scott Shannon, which is a huge morning show in New York City, and he's like their main celebrity guy. So he does a lot on Instagram too.
Do you think? Have you known him for a long time?
So
I
I got him on when I was doing the overnight here. I got him on because of Game of Thrones, and I have a guy, David Blaustein, who used to be an entertainment reporter for ABC, one of the top entertainment guys, but he's out of the business now. So I reached out to David and asked if he could come on, and David said, "Look, I'm not doing that," and he recommended Brad, and that's why, like, anything at all I can get, like anytime I can get him on just to talk TV and stuff.
Up call.
Yeah, he's just got stories and
weekday mornings.
They feel comfortable talking.
yeah.
Being asked about, I guess that's how he brings out the crazy.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like.
No, he has
that Trump was
good
lying to us
content too.
About?
Not having watched Tiger King.
Yeah, right. Come on.
You know, he's going through the whole thing. He's like, "Is that Joe Exotic?" I'm like, "Yeah, you know.
Come on.
Come on,
You
Mr.
know
President.
Joe
You
Exotic.
know who Joe Exotic is."
Because everybody does.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. This is SB Nation Radio,
At SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's
All right, two shows that Brad Blanks just suggested: Money Heist and Too Hot to Handle. I've seen neither of these shows. Money Heist looks like it's in its third season. 31 episodes so far. Looks like there are a lot of. It came out in 2017, so it's been around for a little bit. And I don't care, subtitles, dub, however you consume. You shouldn't let a show not in English be the main reason why you don't watch it. And it's got really good ratings, 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb. I don't know what Rotten Tomatoes or anything. But the other show, and we'll get back to Money Heist in case anybody's seen that. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Shows. I can follow up. John, what's your Twitter? We should give that out as well.
It's at Johnny Two Jobs.
Johnny Two Jobs. Now, is it JOH or?
Yeah, JOHNNY.
Okay.
Two Jobs.
As in TWO or?
TWO.
Okay.
Yeah, it's spelled out.
Got it. Just making sure. See, now I have it. Make sure I write it down on a piece of paper that doesn't go away. The show was created by Laura Gibson and developed by Charlie Bennett, citing Seinfeld episode The Contest as their inspiration for the premise of Too Hot to Handle. Now, not only do I have this show inspired by a Seinfeld episode, but there's a video game that's about to come out regarding Seinfeld that I don't think anybody's going to play. All right, brother. I'll be right back. What's this 740 is?
It's Taylor 12 minutes or 20 minutes. The Lions.
Lions. Okay, so let's do
Antonio.
Uh,
CultureMap.com to get the scoop on
which-
the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs
something
to
with
the
Jordan.
biggest sights
I
and
had.
sounds each city has to offer.
Let's do
Culture Map
the,
has it all. Just head over to
um,
CultureMap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free Culture Map updates.
let's do
at
the first dance.
culturemap.com.
TV suggestions and our buddy from Detroit.
The most
All right,
ever
I'll be
been
right
at
back.
you was when you shot me with a paintball gun. Do you remember why you shot me with the paintball gun?
Yeah, I don't know. There might have been a girl involved or something, to be honest with you. That's usually how these things work. But I do remember it because it was radio promotion. We were at this paintball place, and I think we were just getting on each other's nerves like 20-year-old dudes do. And you put your hands up, and I took a free shot at you. And you did not appreciate it one bit. So I don't know if I ever apologized for that, but if I didn't, sorry, man.
I remember my rib cage being like so sore for like 3 days afterward. You hit me like 4 times. It wasn't like one shot. It was like multiple pulls of the trigger too. That you got me.
Oh,
on,
geez,
so.
it's like you completely have not forgotten about it.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Bum Phillips, Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, the Love You Blue era Houston Oilers. Experience 1970s football with red, white, and Columbia blue. The new audiobook at Houston79.com. A game-by-game recap of the 1979 Houston Oilers season, featuring player interviews and new insights. Step into the huddle for legendary games against the Steelers and Cowboys, and relive one of the most controversial plays ever, the Mike Renfro play. Red, white, and Columbia blue. Download now at Houston79.com. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
Did you see the latest on Kevin Durant where he said he played with a bunch of athletes, but not a bunch of guys that can shoot or play? Dude, Russell Westbrook and James Harden were on your team. I get it. Kendrick Perkins wasn't a very skilled big man. Thabo Sefolosha was a great defensive guy, and that's it. Don't do this 6, 7, 8 years later where you're calling guys out. You sound like a candy ass when you do that. I thought it was soft as hell when he left, but to not be hypocritical, it is free agency. You are free to go play wherever the hell you want when you're a free agent. But why years later are you trashing guys that you used to play with? And whenever you're healthy again, you're now going to play again. I'm going to tell you, if I'm Russell Westbrook and I'm James Harden and I go against Kevin Durant, I'm putting the Slim Reaper on his rear end. Tell him, shut the hell up. You were part of the reason we couldn't get the job done.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call. I mentioned the draft going to be a virtual event. We kind of know that. You know, everybody's going to be in home locations and everybody on computers and whatnot. But how many of us will be watching this just to see if it falls apart? This is the aspect of the draft. We're going to see who's getting picked and what teams did what, who moved up in the draft to get who, and all of that we normally do. But how many of us are watching for the Joe Burrow feed to just collapse at the right time?
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call. I mentioned the draft going to be a virtual event. We kind of know that. You know, everybody's going to be in home locations and everybody on computers and whatnot. But how many of us will be watching this just to see if it falls apart? This is the aspect of the draft. We're going to see who's getting picked and what teams did what, who moved up in the draft to get who, and all of that we normally do. But how many of us are watching for the Joe Burrow feed to just collapse at the right time?
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call.
Ripping the Browns is kind of what old hat.
Yeah, that's old hat. Everybody does it.
Can't do it anymore.
Buccaneers,
Not even fun.
You're now on our radar for being inept.
Going back
Absolutely.
to the glory days.
Glory days of 20 years ago.
But I'm with you with the whole glory days scenario too.
Usually glory days.
What
means I
about
gotta
All
sit down with
American? I
somebody
don't know.
and
What do you
then
mean, Kevin?
About a time before mine.
And Ken Burns is narrating.
Or that over-the-top announcement. It's like, and the skipper brings out Lou Gehrig out to the field, and look at him go as he hits a home run, and the Yankees win it by a score of 3-2, beating those old Boston Red Stockings once again. That's what I mean by glory days. Or look at Billy Cannon run, the LSU superstar. Look at him smile as he scores another touchdown against Ole Miss. And Tiger fans cannot stand him any longer as they stand up and cheer for good old Billy Cannon. Like, that's what I mean by glory days. If Joe Buck's calling your game and that's what you consider glory days, it's not glory days.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Headed to Texas to watch your team play, but don't know where to go for that pregame drink? Visit CultureMap.com for all of the hottest spots in Houston, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio. From the most popular bars to those favorite dine-in gems, Culture Map has it all. Then before you leave town, why not visit some of the best places to shop or see some of the sights? Culture Map has extensive coverage on all the things to do in the city you're in. So check out CultureMap.com. That's CultureMap.com.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage. During these challenging times, our commitment to providing you with the best mortgage experience remains. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. Mortgage rates remain near historic lows. If you think that now is the right time to refinance your mortgage, our home loan experts are available to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 33.
This is SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here.
So whenever sports comes back, we know that it's not going to be with fans. We'll get to that coming up in 6 minutes. Beyond no fans, one thing that, forget sports, just in our society, that's not likely to return anytime soon, if at all, will be the handshakes, right? You're pretty much told dap, hugs, shakes, pounds, all of that gone. And rightfully so, because it's going to be the easiest way, even when things die down and even when things recede in our society and we're able to get back out. And hopefully it's not sooner than later, but still we're able to get back out. That's going to be something that might not ever come back. And you don't need Dr. Fauci or Birx or anybody else. In fact, there are plenty of other outlets you can get besides what's jammed down your head from network television. You also look at, doesn't matter who it is, if it's somebody working on the front lines in the OR, somebody on TV, somebody who's been working with infectious diseases that isn't a television doc. Hopefully you're not listening to Phil or Oz, but beyond those two, they're all telling you the same thing. Even when you sift through, well, what political gain does this person have to say this or anything like that? They're all saying the same thing, which is handshakes aren't coming back. They shouldn't come back. Society will come back. Sports will come back. All that other stuff will come back. But handshakes should not. Now, think about this from our world. That's going to be different, won't it? How do sports, because will teams now be allowed to do that? Will the assumption be that, yeah, and Trevor from the 203 on Twitch asks, so high fives are gone. Now, I wonder, is that meaning across the board in sports? If you have some biodome that's created for the NBA to ride out whatever postseason that they're trying to play, everybody is in there, they're tested, everybody in there is clean. So do you remove that or they're high fives? I mean, I guess technically you could say, well, look, they're banging bodies, so why not be able to high five? Interesting, though, when sports actually come back and it's the norm, even when you get fans at some point back in the stadium, are you going to be socially distancing or are you going to be high-fiving and hugging somebody in the top row? Interesting. I don't know. We'll see.
The American spirit is alive and well. And underscore the word spirit because at a time when we could all use a little good news, this story will do the trick. The company is called Surf City Stillworks out of Huntington Beach, California. And as their name implies, Surf City creates unique, amazing craft bourbon, vodka, gin, and rum. And to say their business was booming would be an understatement. Then came the pandemic. Hospitals and first responders were desperate for hand sanitizers. Without giving it a second thought, Surf City converted a massive still from creating craft bourbon to creating hundreds of gallons of FDA-approved hand sanitizer for first responders, hospitals, and others. If you live in California and you love craft bourbon, vodka, gin, or rum, and you want to support a great American company, visit surfcitystillworks.com and enter radio for 20% off of any home delivery of their spirits. You can also donate. That's promo code radio for 20% off at surfcitystillworks.com. Cheers.
Texting calls you with recurring automated text messages. Message data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. After I left baseball, I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. So I got back into the game with Nugenics. I'm feeling stronger with a lot more energy and drive. You want to get back into shape? Get Nugenics. All you have to do is send one simple text.
Frank's right. Just text MAINE to 321321 to get a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenics, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenic samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text MAINE to 321321. That's MAIN to 321321.
Attention all timeshare owners. Is this what you'd like to do with your timeshare contract? Do you own a timeshare and just want out? Thousands of timeshare owners are getting out of their timeshare contracts. With the help of Timeshare Compliance, Timeshare Compliance can legally terminate, tear up, shred, eliminate, trash your timeshare agreement, ending your payments forever, saving you thousands. So whether you're a victim of a high-pressure, dishonest sales agent, or you were misled with what you were buying, or you overpaid and they underdelivered, call Timeshare Compliance now for a free consultation. With one simple call, the trusted professionals at Timeshare Compliance can legally rip up your timeshare agreement and help rip off your financial suffering. You could save thousands. Call now before another payment is due. Timeshare Compliance is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Call 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963.
This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here, Ender.
All right, so Brad Blanks joined us in the first hour, recommended a couple of television shows. People on Twitter at Chandler Show reacting. Money Heist and Too Hot to Handle. Two completely different shows based off of just reading the recaps of them. Money Heist looks like it's intense. And I get that there are a couple of people out there, probably a lot, that can't do the dub. Brent at Brent Sherm tweets, I really like Money Heist. The only negative is it's in Spanish with English just dubbed in. Mouths and words don't match up, kind of annoying. Is there no subtitle option? I feel like at that point you just have to roll with it, suck it up, and do subtitles, which isn't a terrible thing. But I'm with Brent in it can be very distracting. Like the dub can be very distracting, especially if it's off, significantly off. There was this great show that I watched, and I think it was Australia. No, it wouldn't have been Australia. I have to figure it out. No, actually, I think it was Brazilian. And it had to do with these mini drones that follow you everywhere. It was a really cool sci-fi type show, but it was either dub or subtitle. So I tried the dub. The dub was just way off. At that point, you have to roll with subtitles. N. Spadano, 3189, Nick tweets, Money Heist is real good. Echoed by a couple of other people, Dan Keene at Keene_Daniel. 2 episodes in on Money Heist, and it's good. That's a pretty good sign right there. If the only negative that we got since alerting the mass and people hearing Brad on the radio and responding on Twitter is that the mouths and words don't match up on the dub, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good sign right there. And I have to be completely honest, and this is part of the reason why we bring a guy like Brad on. I had no idea about either one of these shows. And while Money Heist does feel like it's going to be an intense watch, and you probably have to sit down and dedicate some time to it, and I don't know if it's going to be a heavy watch like Narcos, but it feels like it's got that attempt of it where, you know, it's trying to get you in and then just have this heavy watch associated with it. Too Hot to Handle looks completely opposite. This actually, as anti as I am about all of this crap these ridiculous reality shows that are far from it. This Netflix show does not look terrible. And maybe there is something, especially when it just pops up. Tiger King, I stayed away from because it looked stupid. And so many people acknowledge that it's stupid, but they still like it.
You know, Money Heist is Patrick Creighton's biggest recommendation.
Is that right?
He loves it, yeah.
Okay, so he'll be on tonight, starting at 9 Eastern across all network platforms, right?
Yes, right after you.
All right, we're going to have to work in. Maybe we'll get him on ahead of time because I need to, and I don't know if you know this, John, but is this a show that, like Brockmire, he's talking about, is this a show that was recently recommended to him and he started watching, or is this one of the Creighton specials or something that he's lined up?
I think it was recommended to him because he didn't know any shows at all before.
Right. And that's what I was getting at, which is I feel like there are a lot, dare I even say a ton of things that I feel confident going to Creighton on and saying, hey, what are your thoughts on this? For example, Creighton's got kids, right? He's got little ones. So unlike me or you, he would be a good test subject to ask, maybe Brad, but Brad would kind of put himself in his own corner of parenting. I'd ask Patrick and say, hey, what are your thoughts on what we talked about in the first hour, the difference of the TV MA version on ESPN or this edited, watered-down version on ESPN2? I don't necessarily know if I'm going to go to him for, or at least the first person I go to for top-notch recommendations on movies and television. And it's no knock. It's just based on the fact that he put out this open plea, which is, hey, help me watch TV. So that's why I asked if this was a show recommended to him or if it was something that he's been watching forever. But he stands by it, is what you're telling me.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Well, look, I feel better because he took solid recommendations. Brockmire.
You know, I thought yesterday when you guys did the crosstalk that he mentioned it. I'll have to go back and listen.
You know what?
I thought he mentioned it.
I think you're right. Now that you brought that up, I think you're right. I think he said something about it, and we just glossed over it. Because it's like, what the hell? Money Heist? What the hell is that? That's probably what it was, right? It was something about this show. Like, okay, I never heard of it, so let's get back to what I want to talk about on the crossover. Shame on me. Here's Creighton with a nugget last night. In the 3 minutes that we had to go back and forth on the crossover, we gloss over what he brings up, which turns out to be a show topic for today. The guy's a visionary. Maybe I should take what he says about TV more serious than I do. So now I'm down to a split. And here's the problem that I have tonight. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show, 800-224-2004. Big question that we have for you. A couple people have answered so far. We read them on Twitch, Twitter, and if you feel free to hit us on the line as well. But the idea of the sanitized, watered down, edited version, you're going to get in The Last Dance. Tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to get off the air and get on the bike. And at that point, I've got options. Now, for me, especially when I'm exercising, I don't like to watch stuff I need to focus on. So Westworld is immediately out at 9 o'clock, as is The Last Dance. That's out at 9 o'clock. What I like to do is I'll put Creighton on. And no, this is not some self-serving, like, oh, give Shander a pat in the back, company guys. What I did last night's what I did last week. And what I'll do tonight is I'll go right on the bike and I'll have Creighton on my app while watching like King of Queens or something in the background. So I don't need to be focused on that. I know a lot of people like to wait for something like exercise, if it's a treadmill now or a bike, because we're all inside doing stuff. A lot of people like to wait and watch things they do focus on. They do require brain energy for when they work out, because I guess it removes the idea in their head of I'm working out, which I understand. But I always feel like I miss stuff. And I'm an idiot in my own right. So I need to sit there and go through things and work things out of my head and say, well, why is this happening? Especially a show like Westworld. And I do feel like for The Last Dance, I need to consume this. So I'll wait on both. The problem that I have is there's nothing that's going to be spoiled for me on The Last Dance. Meaning, the show that I do tomorrow on Monday won't start until 11 a.m. Eastern. Now, as much of a bum as I could be, I'm going to get up early Monday, do stuff, and that might include, depending on how late it gets tonight, that might include watching The Last Dance. But my hierarchy tonight, and I don't know where it goes for people that are watching other shows, and maybe it's a Westworld or maybe it's something else that comes on Sundays that you're either waiting to see or you push back because you're doing stuff during the day. That's fine. I get that. But I feel like if I'm going to get on social media and not watch both of those shows, I have to watch Westworld first. And the only reason why, it's not because I'm more excited or jacked up about Westworld over The Last Dance. It's something is going to happen on this Westworld episode. And it's my luck that what happens is a major character dies, because I do think this is it. This is the final season for Westworld. They've painted themselves in a Game of Thrones-like corner type ending. And somebody big, something magical is going to happen. Like the character that I've wanted to die forever is finally going to die. I'm going to miss it by not watching it. And I'll get on Twitter and I'll see all of the typical reaction from The Last Dance. Everything. Which will be, oh, it was amazing. I didn't think that I would get to see these clips. And, oh, it brought me back to the intro for Jordan and the Bulls. And I can't believe I forgot all of these small little clips of Jordan and Pippen. And, oh, do you remember Dennis Rodman? All of these things will resurface and will be discussed at length, I'm sure, for the next 4 or 5 days on this network and beyond. It's fine. It's what we do, and this is a great gem to explore. Not ripping. I anticipate it. I'll do it myself. So I lay that out because I don't want you to think, well, he ain't going to watch this thing before. No, I will watch it. But I can't watch The Last Dance at, let's say, 10 o'clock tonight, pass out, get on Twitter tomorrow before my show without watching Westworld. So I'm going to have to watch both. But what I could do is I get around it by doing whatever I do tonight, watch Westworld, whatever. If I don't make it through The Last Dance at 10, 11 o'clock at night, Eastern time, of course, crash, wake up, I can at least go on social media in the morning. I can at least go on Twitter, and nothing is going to be ruined for me. I mean, think about this. Just answer me this question here. And John, let's start here with you. I'll lay it out for everybody. Give means of how you can get involved at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show, 800-224-2004. At Johnny Two Jobs as well for John on Twitter. But think about this across the board, not just John Bellner here, but everybody else. What do you think would be spoiled? Like, what exactly in this documentary, and maybe it is an end around or a different way of asking what you anticipate to learn about Michael Jordan, but what big moment do you think would be spoiled? Like, if you missed it, let's say you didn't watch it tonight and you think, oh, I'm going to watch it tomorrow. I don't need to work until 6 o'clock in the evening, so I can watch this thing all day. And then you get on Twitter tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you're looking around to see what the latest take is on Joe Exotic or Trump or whatever the hell else people tweet about nowadays. And there you see, oh my goodness, or OMG, I can't believe fill in the blank happened. Like, what would it possibly be that would spoil this to the point in which you can't miss it? Now, I do understand, before John or anybody else answers, I do get that we are so starved for live sports. And part of that starvation, if you will, is interaction. Like, not only are we starved for no live sports and the return of that, but we're also starved for the interaction. To be able to tweet, wow, I can't believe he did that. Did you see that run? This is incredible. To be able to live tweet a football game, a basketball game. So yes, there's going to be this involvement. There's going to be this return to interaction that we've had missing, where you can tweet, I can't believe Jordan did that. Or, you know, back when I was watching the book, whatever it is, whatever way that you want to be involved with the conversation. You're going to get that. You're going to get that chance to do it. That's what I think the biggest draw is to watching this thing live. And again, I don't know if I'm missing something obvious, but the Jordan game, the season itself, the ins and outs of it, you're going to get access. You're going to get stuff that the NBA is holding and wanting to break out to remember and honor and really show you, maybe even worse for Jordan, show you what it was like to be Michael Jordan and to be on that 1 year, that Bulls team. But are you going to miss, man, Dennis Rodman was wilding out. Yeah, we knew that. Dennis Rodman, man, it really difficult to control, and Phil Jackson had it. Okay. Mike, and again, I'm not downplaying it. What I'm saying is that I don't feel like there is anything that will come across in this documentary that if you miss it live will sour it when you watch it. Meaning, I don't know what spoiler could possibly come out from The Last Dance where if you missed it, it would be equal to, oh my goodness, they killed Marty's brother, or technically Wendy's brother in Ozark. Sorry for spoiling that. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show. If you ain't watching it now, you ain't going to watch it. All right? 7:40 Eastern. We'll go out to Detroit coming up here on SB Nation Radio.
This is Straight Heat.
Hey, we got a caller.
Eat all the and decide.
You hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
We got a Ryan in Cleveland. He wanted to talk about the Jordan documentary.
Yep. Perfect.
I didn't play with a lot of.
You can tell him we'll go right to him.
I was like, I need to change. And this was before the season even started. I was tired of having to be the only guy that can make threes, make jump shots, and consistently move. This isn't, as much as he meant this as a put down to Russ and Ibaka and all the guys on that team, this is a put down on himself. He wasn't good enough to be the man. And he just told us.
Straight Heat with Patrick Creighton. Weekdays from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern on SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily, that's right, daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner, two-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed today.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Barone.
Brett Murphy from Stadium joining us here on Pushing the Odds. What are you hearing from athletic directors and coaches about their preparations for what may or may not happen coming up this fall?
As far as the athletic directors, I mean, they've got a number of contingency plans, whether that starts in late August as scheduled or maybe even gets pushed back to the spring. The NFL to play football does not need to bring back 40,000 students on campus. College football does. But I just think it's very unrealistic that all of these major university presidents will feel confident enough to say, you know what, to all of our students all over the world, it's now safe to come back on campus and take your fall classes. But make no mistake, they will find out some way to get this season done, which could mean the semifinals from the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl and the national title game from Miami going on maybe as late as Memorial Day.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Barone. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call!
Please, God, if it does come to that, can we have the Walking Dead zombies, not the World War Z?
Yeah, I don't need the fast moving
Superhuman.
Ooh,
I'm not
Neil.
outrunning a World War Z zombie.
I'm the guy you bring because secretly you know I can't keep up with the rest of the group. Hey, I'm going to take Bob and Jim and Tony. You come with us too.
okay.
And everybody knows why you're bringing me. So when push comes to shove, I'm the meal.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's a
Tim Twentyman is going to join us coming up in 10 minutes in Detroit. get some thoughts on what the Lions are going to do, not only in the first round, but maybe with their quarterback and what's going on with Matt Patricia, odds-on favorite to be the first head coach fired this season. So there are some things happening, by all means, with the Lions that are worth discussing. In fact, they could be a huge trade partner, either up or down, and maybe, just maybe, that first domino. NR_Garrett on Twitter. Let me know what you think of Money Heist. Want to check it out at some point. I trust your show judgment. All right, well, I appreciate you, brother. That's why I'm here. But Brad Blanks is the one who recommended it. And yes, I trust that man's judgment. The other show is too hot to handle. Money Heist seems to be the only one that people are responding to. And everybody has said either I'm going to watch it based on you or Blank's suggestion, or I've already seen it and it's a good show. The only issue that's been brought up with Money Heist was the dub. The dub might not be on correctly. It's a show in Spanish. We can get by that. Not to say that we should run some sort of hierarchy on foreign languages here, but let's be honest. If there's one language outside of English and a movie is in, or a television show is in, and that language is Spanish, I feel like you're going to get the least amount of sympathy about, well, I can't you know what I mean? Like, even French, which you probably took in high school as opposed to Spanish, if you're complaining about it being in a dub. Oh, man. Too hot to handle. $20,000. Unbelievable. That's what sex costs on this show. All right, so the premise, this actually seems somewhat interesting for a reality TV show. The series will follow 10 singles. They're taken to a special island villa for 4 weeks to find love and $100,000. However, 12 hours into the retreat, all of the contestants are informed by a virtual assistant. So you have this VR Lena who says nobody can do anything. You can't do anything sexual, such as kissing, sex, or pleasuring yourself. If you do, the prize money will decrease by a set amount. So you're all in it together, but somebody's going to ruin it for the rest of you. Somebody's going to screw this thing up. Now look at what gets deducted and for what value. Kissing can deduct up to $3,000 from the total prize fund. Sex can dock up to $20,000. Halfway through the game, 4 new contestants joined as part of the retreat, followed the same rules as everyone else, and that makes 14 total contestants. And then throughout the show, during the retreat, the VR assistant will set up workshops for the contestants to play in order to stay entertained, and they can consist of many different games they play. Unbelievable. It's crazy to see something like this supplied because everything else has been the opposite. It's been the 180. And yeah, I mean, this is how entertainment or really anything works in our society. You drive one thing so far right, it's just going to be common sense, and business is going to follow where you're going to make something completely opposite of it. And that's going to sell. And in this case, this is like the antithesis of every single reality show. Now, you're not going to remove the idiocy, I'm sure, of reality TV show contestants and how ridiculously fake and over the top it looks when it's shot. You're not going to remove that by any means. I think you're still stuck. You're still stuck with that ridiculous reality TV approach to it and shot of it. The only difference is that this is like right out of Seinfeld. Now, I mentioned this game. There's this new game that's coming out. Apparently, there are a couple of creators that have tried to push this Seinfeld video game. And what's interesting is there is no proof of concept yet. And in order for them to get the money and everything as far as the over-the-top fees for licensing, they need to prove that there is something out there. They need to prove that there is a demand for this game. So they dropped a trailer. The problem with this game is that it looks like it's out of the 90s. The game itself looks like it's something out of like basically when the actual game was played. The show was aired. It looks like it was created right around that time. And when you have all these graphics and so many other things from an entertainment value you get with a PlayStation and an Xbox, even a desktop, like a PC, graphics now, you're not going to be able to compete with anything if it looks horrible. And that's where I think, unfortunately, it does. It looks terrible. That's going to be one where this game, a point-and-click game on your computer, is not going to be enough to carry nostalgia for Seinfeld. It just won't be. Unfortunately, I don't think this game's going to last. Crazy to see, though, how I'm going to put it up here so you can see it on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Shander Show. This looks like, again, just an awful version of like a playback game you would get, some sort of King's Quest or Police Quest or something, some throwback game that probably anybody under 30 doesn't even know what the hell I'm talking about. The graphics look shady. The game is a point-and-click one. It's one episode. It burns through about 30 minutes. I'm sorry, but I get that Seinfeld is constantly being replayed and rerun on 6 different networks and will go down as a top show of all time. But this game looks like a bad idea. This game looks cheap. And I don't know why there is any demand for this. Has that been missing in your life? You get Seinfeld on 6 different channels. Any time of day, you can find Seinfeld. It rivals Law and Order with how many times it's actually on TV. We'll go out to Detroit next, get some insight on what that team's going to do with their draft pick, their head coach, a lot of stuff with the Lions next year on SB Nation Radio.
Hi, I'm Jake.
I thought we were taking the phone call.
Oh, my.
Rocket Mortgage.
I'm sorry. I
During the
completely.
challenging times
Jesus.
we're all experiencing.
Is he still on?
Yeah, he's still on there.
Of the
Can we take him and then you call Tim and we'll talk?
I was just going to ask him to call back next hour at the 12 mark.
Okay, that's fine.
Mortgage
We
experience.
probably will. Yeah, that's fine. That's my fault. Tell him that.
Every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, exists for times like right now. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. If you currently work with us,
Damn,
and
that's
need
my
assistance with
fault,
your
man.
mortgage,
I'm sorry.
contact us 24/7 at rocketmortgage.com. As we all think about ways to save money, let me remind you that mortgage rates are near historic lows. If you think right now is the right time to refinance your mortgage, our home loan experts are available to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
The American spirit is alive and well. And then
Yeah, he's just going to call back.
Okay, cool.
when we could all use a little good news, this story
Sorry,
is
man.
correct. The company
That's
is
my
called
fault.
It's cool. I know you want. You've been trying to get that Seinfeld thing out.
Well, yeah, but I should have gone to the caller.
Using craft bourbon.
I shouldn't even.
vodka,
Kate,
gin, and rum. And to say their business was booming would be an understatement.
It's amazing how much
Then
I forget
came the
shit,
pandemic.
even stuff I say.
Desperate for hand sanitizers.
Because I even said, I was like, all right, we'll go right there. We'll go to that caller right there. And then
To creating hundreds of gallons
It happens.
sanitizer for first responders, hospitals, and others. If you live in California and you love craft bourbon, vodka, gin, or rum, and you want to support a great American company, visit SurfCityStillworks.com and enter radio for 20% off of any home delivery of their spirits. You can also donate. That's promo code radio for 20% off at SurfCityStillworks.com. Cheers.
This is an urgent health notice for all residents suffering from back, neck, knee, and wrist pain. You may qualify for a pain relieving brace at little or no cost to you, but the deadline is fast approaching. Simply call the Health Alert Hotline now.
You heard right. You may qualify for a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace. These items may even be covered by Medicare or your private insurance. The Health Alert Hotline is your brace company. These specialized braces have been tested for pain relief. Call us toll-free right now to determine your eligibility and to learn how to use your private insurance or Medicare to...
All right, he's on for you.
Great.
Don't wait. If the deadline passes, you may lose your opportunity to get a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace at little or no cost to you.
800-608-1881. 800-608-1881.
Are you still watching on Twitch?
800-608-18. It's 800-608.
You see how I have it with Tim's Twitter on there?
That's cool. I seen you when you were messing with it.
Yeah, I want to make sure that you can see him bigger than me, so doesn't look like I'm too small either.
This is SB Nation Radio.
And SB Nation Radio.
You're a little on the small side, but that's all right.
That's good. I'm too big to be.
Art Studios. Here's
Mike's out.
A lot of questions about what the Detroit Lions are going to do, not only with their first pick, but as we've mentioned, we talked about this yesterday with Adam Thompson on bookies.com about Matt Patricia being the odds-on favorite to be the first head coach to be fired this year. Drama, it seems like, good, bad, maybe even with Matthew Stafford. So we go out to Detroit, bring in Tim Twentyman, who covers the Lions, senior writer and insider at Lions.com, at T20Man on Twitter. Tim, Eitan Shander, SB Nation Radio. First and foremost, man, appreciate your time and hope all is well with you and yours in Detroit.
Yeah, everything's good here. Obviously, Detroit's a little bit of a hot spot, so we're all staying inside and hitting the computers and doing what we can to keep Lions fans informed, but staying safe while doing it.
I'm in Philly. You mentioned hot spot, and we're kind of in that similar area and not too far south, of course, from the hot spot, right, which is New York City and North Jersey. And I imagine, as you mentioned, having something like the NFL is kind of a necessary distraction, no matter if you're a Lions, Eagles, Giants, Jets fan.
Yeah, it's a great distraction. Obviously, with baseball, not getting their season started, and hockey and the NBA, we're kind of winding down. We were getting ready for the playoffs, and just to go from kind of all that excitement to nothing, it's good to have a little something with the NFL draft. Obviously, it's the most popular draft around, and so the NFL folks have done a lot of work and put a lot of technology into making this thing happen. It's going to be a little bit different, but every fan gets excited about the draft. It's kind of when you build your team. You think you can make your Super Bowl run with what you've done in free agency in the draft. So I'm glad the NFL has decided to do it, but being safe while doing it as well.
Do you think the technology and the fact that it's not a typical draft, everything is virtual, is going to impact, maybe not number one, round one, third overall pick, but just in general, do you think that this is going to add maybe some fear or at least apprehension about making trades because it's so different than what we're used to?
I think we'll see a little bit less trades, but it's funny. I was on a conference call with, Brian McCarthy, the spokesman of the NFL on Friday, and some of the vice president who handles the events for them. And, I thought he made a really good point when he said, essentially, there's really just a huge conference call anyways. Even when the teams are at their facility, it's all technology based. They're not in one spot. Your conference calling that into the league at Las Vegas, it would have been this year, and then you're doing it that way. So, there's some backup systems and people aren't all together. But I thought it was an interesting point that he said, look, it's basically just a huge teleconference every year anyways. So I think they're going to be able to pull it off without a whole bunch of hitches. But yeah, I could anticipate there being a few less trades just because you're by yourself. If the GM's by himself, I think the teams are going to trust their board a little bit more. And I think any deals that are done, especially in the first round, I think are going to be done ahead of the draft and not when teams are on the clock.
All right, well, everybody wants to know, right? The draft begins at number 3. What happens?
Yes.
What happens with your Lions?
Well, I think the ideal situation, there's 3 things that can happen. Ideally, and I think the dream scenario for people in Detroit is that somehow, some way, someone finagles their way into convincing Washington to trade that pick for a quarterback. Somebody falls in love with somebody, whether it's Tua, Herbert, whoever it may be. And then all of a sudden you're there at number 3 for the Lions, and Chase Young, the best pass rusher in this draft, falls to you. Best player in this draft falls to you at number 3. That's the dream scenario. I think second, you work something out with Miami, the Los Angeles Chargers. You move back to 5 or 6. You pick up a first-round pick that's Miami. You pick up another second-round pick or something additional if it's the Chargers. And now Detroit enters this draft with 4 picks in the top 85. Now you add to that, and then you still get one of the guys that you like at number 3, which is Jeff Okudah, the cornerback from Ohio State, Justin Simmons, the
or Isaiah Simmons, excuse me, the talented linebacker hybrid from Clemson, or Derek Brown, the difference maker, the defensive tackle, the kind of run stuffer in the middle. That's an ideal situation for Detroit. You move back, you gain draft capital, and you still get one of the few players that you like in this draft. And then other than that, you just pick a three. You take the best player at the top of your board, and you pick a three. And so I think those are the three scenarios for Detroit. And I think either way it works out, you're going to get an impact player that can come and help you right away.
Who is the best player available for the Detroit Lions at 3, if in fact they stay put?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I personally, and I know it flies in the face of kind of what people think about cornerbacks and their value in the top 5. I went back and looked at the last 10 drafts, and there have only been 3 cornerbacks taken in the top 5. Whereas I think there was 13 cornerbacks, 9 defensive ends, and I think I got to remember there's 7 offensive tackles. Those are the positions of value. But I think today's NFL is a little bit different. Look, you're a nickel defense 80% of the time. Now, you're playing 5 defensive backs a lot of time. Detroit went and got Desmond Trufant after losing Darius Slay. They traded him away. They weren't going to work out a contract extension with him. They got Darryl Roberts, a veteran guy. They like Amani Oruwariye, a guy they drafted last year. But I think they need another guy in that group. Justin Coleman handles the slot. They spent a lot of money on him in free agency last year. But I think they need one more guy in that group. And so I think in the end, that guy that's going to be on the top that makes the most sense is going to be Jeff Okudah, that really talented shutdown man cover corner who fits Detroit's defense from Ohio State.
When you look outside of that 3rd pick overall in the first round, what do you anticipate as far as strategy is concerned for the Lions this year, and really based on how many holes they have to plug?
Well, they got a 2nd round pick. That's going to be the 3rd pick in the 2nd round. Then they've got 2 3rd round picks. So they've got 3 picks on day 2, which is a pretty good ammunition to pick up some starters. Yeah. So, I think they've obviously got to look interior offensive line at some point. They lost Graham Glasgow to Denver. They've got a few interior options, internal options there, but I think they want to add somebody to that group. So I think when you're starting to look at day 2, you can look at some of those top interior guard centers type guys. I think they could look at a running back. Obviously, you know how talented this wide receiver group is. I think you can get a 1st round talent in day 2. That's how deep this wide receiver class is. Now, Detroit returns all 3 of their top wide receivers from last year, but none of those guys are signed past next year. I anticipate the Lions and Kenny Golladay having some conversations and maybe get an extension done before he heads into the last year of his rookie deal. But Marvin Jones Jr., Danny Amendola, both in their 30s on their last year of their deal. So I can see the Detroit in round 2 looking to get, one of those talented wide receivers too. And, if they get a Jeff Okudah in day 1, I think they could look to add a pass rusher as well in day 2. So it's nice to have, those 3 picks in day 2. I think they can address the needs and get some starters there.
Tim, what's going to happen with Matthew Stafford? I know that there were rumors that were easily squashed over the offseason. What's the future look like, short-term, long-term, for Matthew Stafford in Detroit?
He's going to be the Lions quarterback for the foreseeable future. I think he was having a terrific season last year.
Yeah.
In the first half of that season, before that back injury, I think Darrell Bevel's offense really fits what he likes to do. He led the league in 20-plus yard passes. He was having a Pro Bowl caliber season with 19 touchdowns in 8 games. His passer rating of 106 was, I think, the 6th best in the league at the time of his injury. So he was playing great ball. Look, he's 32 years old. I mean, we're not talking about a guy who's 36. He's got 3 years left on his deal. It pays him a lot of money, and the Lions don't want that dead cap hit. And so Matthew Stafford's going to be the quarterback for the foreseeable future for this team. And we're not talking about a guy who wasn't playing very well, is on the downward trend. He was actually probably playing some of the best football of his career last year. And so, look, Darrell Bevel's back. His coaching staff's back. He fits into the offense. He's not learning it like he was last year. Now he's got it down, and I would expect Matthew Stafford to hit the ground running.
So let's look at something else. Tim 20man joining us at T20man on Twitter, 8 on Shander, SB Nation Radio. And I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I figured we would go to the source in Detroit to get some insight on this. Matt Patricia is the odds-on favorite to be fired, the first head coach to be fired this year. And I guess my question would be, if he actually is, first off, do you agree with those odds? And second, if he is the first one to go, then why wouldn't they have just fired him this offseason?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think some of the things that happened last year in terms of, obviously you lose your starting quarterback for, the second half of the season. You've got a pretty good excuse there. They were in a lot of those football games. You look at some of the games they lost in Kansas City late, playing a lot of really close football games. And I think the Ford family just thought 2 years wasn't enough. They're going to give him this third year. And I've always said too, when you hire a GM, I think you give a GM 5 years, you coach 3 years. That should be the mandate. Let them change the culture. Let them build this thing. Let them bring their guys in. And so, look, this is Matt Patricia's third season. And so there's an expectation from the Ford family that this team is playing meaningful football games in December. So, look, the pressure's on. But now you've brought your guys in. Look at what they did in free agency this year in terms of remaking the defense, bringing in a lot of guys that Patricia knows. Jamie Collins Sr., Duran, missing the name here, slipping me, but they brought some Patriot guys. Danny Shelton, who played for the Patriots. Duran Harmon.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to leave you hanging, too. I was thinking offhand. I'm sorry, Tim.
But they got all these guys, that Patricia knows that
right.
This system. And when you're talking about now not having spring football, I mean, what a terrific strategy for the Lions, bringing guys that don't have to learn this system, that know it, and so that can just plug in and play. And so, they've set everything up to turn this thing around and win this year. If they don't, I think the Ford family's made it very clear that there are probably going to be changes down the line. But look, you give him his third season. Now he's set up. He's got his guys, his system, his coaches, his quarterback, his guys on defense. He's going to add some guys in this draft. We talked about having 4 picks in the top 85. So, look, this is it. They got to win, and they know that. And so we'll see how it plays out.
So a lot of people, and we're doing the national show here, but I'm based in Philadelphia and have a good following here in Philadelphia. And you mentioned Darius Slay. We're all excited about his arrival. Is there anything you could tell us just across the board what we should expect? As you know, the Philadelphia Eagles could really use help at the quarterback position. So we're expecting a lot, but he seems like a nice, grounded young man that can come and help this team.
Yeah, really good dude. He's a guy who's going to be, out on Twitter asking what high school game he can go to on Friday night.
Nice.
What basketball game he can go to. He's very active in the community. Obviously, he's made 3 straight Pro Bowls. He's 29 years old. He's going to be 30, but I think he really hasn't lost a step. He's one of the faster guys in the league. And so, look, he was in charge of traveling with the opponent's best receiver for the last 3 years and did a pretty darn good job with it. The Lions just weren't going to, pay a guy what the Eagles were willing to pay him at, his age. They were looking to kind of just revamp this thing a little bit. They weren't winning with him. So they're going to try to add some pieces up front in the front seven, and then maybe draft a corner where they thought that was the best strategy. But look, Philly's getting a really good guy in the community, still a really good player. You just hope he doesn't kind of hit that 30 and take that drop down, but we haven't seen it yet, so Philly should be excited about it.
Tim, last one, just to slide it in because it's all everybody's talking about over the last couple of days now, the MJ documentary tonight. I imagine people in Detroit may not be as excited to watch MJ dominate competition as other places in the country.
Yeah, they may not. But you know what? I grew up on the west side of Michigan, and so I was actually closer to Chicago than I was to Detroit.
Okay.
And so I grew up a Bulls fan.
Nice.
I grew up a Jordan fan. And so
do people in Detroit know that about you?
No, I think I just spilled the beans a little bit.
Breaking news.
I love those 90 Bulls teams, and I'm really excited about the documentary. It should be really, really fun. And I'll be sitting down at 9 o'clock watching ESPN like everybody else. But I'm sure that probably won't be the most popular thing here in Detroit with those bad boys and how those Chicago teams got into it there. And really, with Chicago, that kind of knocked that Detroit team, out of their dynasty. And so, we'll see how it goes here in Detroit. But it should be interesting nonetheless if you're an NBA fan.
Tim, I really appreciate this tonight. Awesome stuff, man. Thank you for the combo and stay safe in Detroit.
Yeah, you too. No problem. Give me a call anytime.
Awesome, man. Tim 20Man joining us at T20Man on Twitter. We'll wrap the hour next year on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up.
He's good stuff, man.
Has been paying out $2 million.
Yeah, he's great.
For the past 17 years on insurance.
Have you had him on before?
For a nope. And so they paid $34 million into this insurance. They're going to collect over $100 million.
Some of them I saved, some of them I don't. He got saved.
For once knowing that.
Shame on me because I thought it was grass. Thought it was
grass.
Yeah, like you got to dried out grass in August or the fall. You can't hold Wimbledon on its grass court. Little did I know that this was an easy decision to cancel this bad boy and collect themselves $100+ million. Oh, we won't be having Wimbledon this year. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Great. The ayes have it. Anybody want to process that claim?
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Bump Phillips, Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, the Love You Blue era Houston Oilers. Experience 1970s football with red, white, and Columbia blue. The new audiobook at Houston79.com. A game-by-game recap of the 1979 Houston Oilers season, featuring player interviews and new insights. Step into the huddle for legendary games against the Steelers and Cowboys, and relive one of the most controversial plays ever. The Mike Renfro play. Red, white, and Columbia blue. Download now at Houston79.com. SB Nation tonight with John Michaels.
What event do you think you have any chance of actually getting done? I'm trying to think. I would probably have to learn how to do one of those shooting events. I was never going to be able to do the javelin. I never could have done the shot put.
What you thinking for the tweet the next down?
And jump over something 20 feet in the air. I don't know that there was anything I could have done. Like the swimming,
Hold on one sec.
I damn sure wasn't diving unless we could have done a cannonball off the top of the platform. I'm not diving into the water and flipping around like a maniac. You know what? Maybe if I trained for like a year, I might have a shot to play some ping pong against somebody. Although, actually, no. Those dudes are like 40 feet off the table and they're and that thing's like the ball's just flying everywhere. I could never do that either. So I don't think there's anything I could do in the Olympics.
Let's do.
SB Nation tonight.
We're going out to.
SB Nation Radio. Introducing Automotive.
Eric is joining us. No, not Eric.
Brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles.
Do we have time to take this guy now?
To tips on keeping your family safe on the road. AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com.
Hey, I don't have your history for some reason on the text. What's 840? Do we have time to take that caller?
This is SB Nation.
I'd rather wait.
Okay.
Yo.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios.
Mike's out.
Ender.
Pretty cool explanation of what the Eagles are going to get with Darius Slay. You've already seen film and highlights and everything from that regard, so it's not like anything brand new as far as on the field, but it's nice to get some insight about a new player from people who have covered him. And I love it. Trust me, Philadelphia, Kevin Cookie, 32 already, huge get for the Eagles on Twitch. Any Catholic League game for basketball. Exactly right. We here in Philadelphia, it's a big city, don't get me wrong, and a large area that it covers, even into the suburbs that are just extensions of the city. But we are a very small and provincial city from a mentality standpoint, from a mindset, if you will. Anybody who leaves this big, small town, if you will, goes on and does things we love, and we'll put a statue up of you. Hell, we'll put a statue up of a fake character in a movie. As long as you're from Philly, we got you. But hearing Tim Twentyman say, well, Darius Slay is going to be the first guy to pop on Twitter and ask about a football game, a high school game you can go watch on Friday night, or basketball game probably in the off season, and just be involved in this community beyond playing and doing charity work, which are necessary, but just to be involved. Look, it's a big reason why Joel Embiid has warmed himself up to the community to the point in which he was bulletproof from criticism up until this past season. And I'm not saying he should have been, or I'm just saying It's a master class in warming up to the city in which you live in. Bryce Harper's doing that now as well. More on The Last Dance next. Les Carpenter, that's right. Skins.
Hey, real quick, I was on the phone with the caller when you told me what's for the next.
Oh, that's fine. So let's do the biggest trade back in the draft.
Dishwasher. Is that Jeter's problem or is that Brady's problem? Does Brady sit there and like, hey, Jeter, you need to take care of this. I'm not going to pay you rent.
Edited versus real Last Dance, and then Les Carpenter.
Oh, no.
Gotcha.
Road before with the NFL. No chance. This phone's not going anywhere near that basket.
Wake Up Call with Tony D
Right
and
back.
Ron Colbert. Weekdays. Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
This is the problem for a sport like baseball. It is an outdoor sport that must be played in nice weather. And the window for nice weather in certain parts of the country, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, is quite small. I actually am somebody who believes that baseball should be going and playing in Arizona and in Florida once this thing calms down. And I think having teams be centrally located, I think finding a facility, a hotel that probably is empty and putting your team there, it stinks. You're going to be away from your family. You're going to be away from your normal life. But that to me is a must. I just don't see how in the world you put like the New York Yankees in New York. Like how?
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner, two-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcast. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed today.
Wake up call. Who as a country do we trust enough to when they go, you can go back to work, you can go to sports arenas, and that we go, absolutely, thanks.
Is it Dr. Fossey?
Is it him? Because he's like, we may never be able to shake hands ever again.
Why is your Dr. Fossey voice one step away from Gilbert Gottfried?
I know, right? On the one hand, I want to know what the other hand is doing. And my Dr. Fauci impression is more like, well, it's more like if you have two people in a room, it's better if one of them leaves. So in the future, let's say you're taking your family to a restaurant and there's 4 of you. It's better to just get 4 tables. And please limit the visitation to maybe once every 2 weeks. That would be the best. To keep this completely under control.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Colbert. Weekday mornings. Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com. Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
Let's not fool ourselves. 17 games is coming, period. The NFL realizes right now, if we go to 17 games, you know what that is? More money. You're going to get basically 2 more weeks of programming out of all of this. The extra game and the extra bye week, the NFL can milk that for more money out of the television network. For the television networks, it's simple. For all the BS talk of fans who were out there that said, look, we're going to boycott the game for whatever, whether it was players off the field activities, whether it was kneeling for the flag, whether it was the game changing and the way they're taking away some of the hard hits. People said they weren't going to participate, not going to watch. Like 9 of the top 10 programs throughout the year are NFL games. So say whatever you want. People are consuming the National Football League. And if the NFL looks at this and says, I can make more money by having more games, they're going to have more games.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
We don't know that 16 days from now, things might not be trending in a good direction. I'm going to continue to approach. I'm continuing.
That was the same guy who called last hour. I told him to call back next hour around the 12 or 13 minute mark. And then he called as soon as the interview was over.
Wow, so be it.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknight.
But he's on there. He said he's Ryan in Cleveland, but he wants to be known as Ryan from Vegas, who's in Cleveland, because Vegas is the city.
To provide.
Is he on the line now?
Yeah, he's on the line.
All right, well, let's take him now, and that could set up some combo for.
Okay, we can take him in for a second.
Okay.
Lows. If you think that now is the right time to
We got a little more time than we did in the little segment at the end.
Right, that's fine.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 33.
This is SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket
I'm sorry, what was his name one more time? Ryan.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios.
So, big topic of conversation in the first hour erupted when we found out the Disney Corporation is censoring The Last Dance. It'll be on ESPN, not the entire Last Dance, but it will provide a censored broadcast for you and your children, we assume, on ESPN2. That thing's an hour away. The main one for TV mature audiences will be broadcast and watched, I guess, by the majority of folks on ESPN. So we opened it up at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show, 800-224-2004, where we find Ryan from Vegas, but now in Cleveland, who joins us here on the second level SB Nation Radio. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? All right. Got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, Michael J. His scenario. You alluded to it before, what we particular as fans, should we not anticipate, but what somebody should bring up that we were not aware of Jordan?
Right.
Good, bad, ugly, whatever it may be. Obviously we all know that he was cut from his freshman team in high school. I don't know if that was legit or if that was true. We all know that me being from Vegas many years, him and Barkley were horrible, horrible gambling degenerates. A lot of his mind, his focus was like betting. I don't know if that's where his brain was at in certain games. Not saying that at all about Pete Rose's level. That's not where I was going. But really, you're saying, like, what type of things can we look forward to that can, little tidbits? Because we all know about the shot over Byron Russell.
Sure.
We all know about the shot over my Cleveland Cavaliers.
Craig Eulo, yeah.
Yeah, Craig Eulo, obviously, his dad dying. We know we're going to go with a lot of different places. The fight, the Olympics. I mean, everything's going to be a blast. It's a little bit of glimmer of hope of, something new, because something new is going on.
That's fair. Right. I want to ask you real quick. Do you have kids?
I do, yes.
Are you watching it with your kids real quick, and are you doing the edited or the real version?
Well, they're too young to understand. But again, you said the real version or editing, you said?
Yeah, well, listen, brother, I appreciate the phone call. Thank you for calling back. We'll build on that as far as the edited versus real, as well as look at a trade that could happen. Nobody's talking about in the NFL draft.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. After I left baseball, I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. So I got back into the game with Nugenics. I'm feeling stronger, with a lot more energy and drive. You want to get back into shape? Get Nugenics. All you have to do is send one simple text.
Frank's right. Just text MAINE to 321321 to get a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenics, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenic samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text MAINE to 321321. That's MAIN to 321321.
Attention all timeshare owners. Is this what you'd like to do with your timeshare contract? Do you own a timeshare and just want out? Thousands of timeshare owners are getting out of their timeshare contracts. With the help of Timeshare Compliance can legally terminate, tear up, shred, eliminate, trash your timeshare agreement, ending your payments forever, saving you thousands. So whether you're a victim of a high-pressure, dishonest sales agent, or you were misled with what you were buying, or you overpaid and they underdelivered, call Timeshare Compliance now for a free consultation. With one simple call, the trusted professionals at Timeshare Compliance can legally rip up your timeshare agreement and help rip up your financial suffering. You could save thousands. Call now before another payment is due. Timeshare Compliance is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Call 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963.
Hey, when I bring you back in, I got to run down the hallway for just a second, so I won't be here for probably about 4 minutes or so.
Okay, that's fine.
But your balance is just not going down. Call Consolidated Credit now. If the interest rates on your credit cards are so high, it will take years to get out of debt. Call Consolidated Credit now. They've helped over 5 million people. They can consolidate your debts into one lower payment, reduce your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. If you're struggling with credit card debt, call Consolidated Credit now.
Call now, 800-549-1277. That's 800-549-1277. 800-549-1277.
Consolidated Credit Counseling Services Incorporated, 5701 West Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33313. Not a loan company licensed by the New York Department of Financial Services and by the Vermont Department of Financial Regulation. Maryland DM19, Oregon DM8031, licensed by Virginia State Corporation, commission licensed under DC 32. Establishment of a plan may adversely affect the individual's credit rating or credit score. Non-payment of debt may be creditors to increase financial charges or collections activity, including litigation.
This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studio.
Mike's hot.
Don Shander.
So we gave you the odds yesterday on what happened in round 1 of the quarantine eating challenge. It's shown on Major League Eating's YouTube channel. First round is in the books. Trying to figure out the specific date, because I think it's tomorrow, right? Oh no, April 19th. So we missed the quarters today. It's today. It can't be any later than it is right now, right? There's no way in hell that anybody doing anything sport related, even Major League Eating, would dare go up against The Last Dance, right? And then you're like going up against the Super Bowl at that point. No way anybody who could control when you're going to release or air something would do that. Now, I'm interested because we talked about this at length, going from round 1, which is 2 pounds of bologna, to the quarterfinals happening today, or I assume it already happened today, 48 Oreos and a half gallon of milk. Semifinals are tomorrow. Championship is Tuesday. Pardon me. Semifinals on Tuesday. Championship is Wednesday. This thing all started Friday, April 17th. It gets worse. You're going to have to eat 10 pounds of baked beans in the semis, followed by 10 big chicken cup noodles. That's what it says, chicken cup noodles. I assume it's chicken cup of noodles, but not like the smaller ramen, like the bigger ones. That we already saw for odds we gave you coming into today, it was set at nearly 2 minutes. Over under is 119 and a half seconds. Man, this thing, just looking at round 2, the difference, because we all know Joey Chestnut and Mickey Sudo are the two favorites. But the quarantine eating challenge went down today. And I know a lot of people on Twitter yesterday at Shander Show were responding to whether or not they could eat 48 Oreos. And we had 3 minutes. There was a difference. 48 Oreos we gave you was impossible to do in 90 seconds. But we were able to give it to you at least in 3 minutes time. Now, I'm watching this. I guess this is still going on. It's got to be ending soon if it isn't already done in the books, because there's no way they would infringe on The Last Dance and that going on tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern at the top of the hour. But looking at how this thing played out, this is ridiculous. I'm watching this on YouTube. And in fact, I might even put this up on Twitch so you can see this. But they have the screens, right? And it's split, 4 different people in there. And you've got everybody sitting in front of whatever background similar to mine they have. A lot of them are in some sort of kitchen setting or something here. And it's all done. You can even bet on this, as we mentioned, on the global market. And they have the video of people opening up the package of Oreos and just slamming down as many as you can. This thing is ridiculous, but still more entertaining than horse, without a doubt. No doubt in my mind, if you sat and watched both, you would get more of an entertainment value from watching horse than anything else. Or pardon me, than watching this Major League Eating thing than anything else. My goodness. Just putting this out here alone, that would be something in its own right. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's crazy. I don't know what that is. But we can't have that running like this, man. We can't have that round 2 stuff in the background. And here's the crazy thing about it now. You're coming into the real, like, not even live action stuff, right? But you're coming into the real sporting event that we've been waiting for like a month now. And that's the Michael Jordan documentary today. Instead, what we've had, NBA players in a terrible effort, of course, Major League Eating morphing into how many Oreos you can eat. And this thing is absurd. 48 cookies, half gallon of milk. And I bring this up because outside of Ozark, or maybe Money Heist, and we'll try and get Creighton's thoughts on this before we get out of here this hour. But outside of Ozark or Money Heist or something like that, I don't necessarily know if there is anything more compelling on TV. It's not going to be Tiger King for me, I can tell you that. You're not going to get me to watch that show no matter how much you try. Can't be that, won't be that, refuse to be that show. Rather sit here and watch reruns of the Major League Eating. Now, see the Philly Mick opening something up here on Twitch, which I knew was going to happen moving forward. The one negative, and we'll talk to Les Carpenter in 23 minutes in DC about what the Skins are going to do and if, in fact, they could trade out of that 2 spot and not draft Chase Young. It is a possibility. It is DC. Let's not jump or rush to any conclusions. But the one negative, if there is anything as far as a drawback or as far as something negative that's going to come from this documentary, the Philly Mick is already entertaining this on Twitch. Do LBJ loyalists finally realize he isn't the GOAT after this documentary airs? I saw Trae Young tweet something earlier about how watching this documentary is going to change his hierarchy from 1 to 2 and put MJ at 1 ahead of LBJ. You shouldn't be using this documentary as any piece of criteria, not one piece of criteria. And unfortunately, what's going to happen now is that awful argument of LeBron versus MJ is going to resurface, be recycled, be repurposed. Nothing new. It's not like LeBron is out there playing, nor is it like Michael Jordan returned. And on top of that, we've already come to grips with the fact that this documentary isn't putting out anything new. Like, this documentary itself is not giving you any brand new nuggets that would reinforce or sway somebody to the other side about who's the best basketball player of all time. There really isn't anything at all in this documentary that would add to Michael Jordan convincing people, or LeBron James convincing people for that matter, that they are the best basketball player of all time, or Kobe Bryant coming in as we know he'll be in this documentary, or anybody else who may Wilt or another center who may lay claim to that title. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to provide some insight, I think, into the gambler that Jordan was, the competitor that Jordan was, the guy that was tough to be around that Jordan was. But this newfound appreciation, because we're watching a documentary years in the making, should not then transfer over to, well, that's why Jordan's better, or that's why LeBron's better. And to be fair, myself and others, like I'm sure the Philly Mick on Twitch and people who believe that LeBron is the best Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. Well, this is not going to change our minds. It's not going to reinforce anything. We already knew that. I mean, it's like social media, right? You can cap a video, you can get some sort of screen cap of people doing things you don't agree with. You're at home, you're quarantined, you're following the rules, you don't agree with protests in Michigan. Well, you're in California or Florida or New York, and you want to let everybody know what your thoughts are about people that aren't in the state in which you live, but still it's social media, so let me put this thing out. Well, there's no real change, or there's no real grabbing anybody who feels opposite, or even anybody who's in that picture or video with your tweet and changing their minds. It's just, hey, check this out. Hey, look at this. And that's what the Jordan doc is. Hey, look at this. Look at what we have when it comes to Michael Jordan and one of the most watched athletes, beloved athletes, challenging athletes we've seen, incredible athletes we've seen of all time. But that shouldn't then reinforce nor change anybody's opinion. And that's why I say, it's not to rip. We love Philly Mick, and we, Trae Young as well. It doesn't matter. It's more about specifically this documentary shouldn't change your mind. If you're 16 years old and all you've seen is LeBron James, and you think you have enough claim to the argument that LeBron is better than Michael Jordan, watching this documentary shouldn't change your mind. If that's the case, then your opinion was flimsy from the jump. And in hindsight, we shouldn't have listened to it in the first place. It doesn't mean that you can't be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, and say, well, I've seen Jordan play. I've watched it on YouTube, or I watched it with my own two eyes, and I'm sorry, but LeBron James is just a better overall basketball player. The problem is now this conversation is back. And I can warn you ahead of time, nothing is going to change. It's like so many problems that get brought back up and to your awareness get brought to you via your timeline on Twitter. Did you see what this celebrity tweeted? Yeah, well, we've been dealing with this in our society for the last 50 years. Yeah, but did you see what they tweeted? Oh my goodness, 60,000 retweets, 150,000 likes. Yeah, that person has been saying, or at least illustrating, a problem that we've been having in this society for 40, 50 years. The fact that it's still popular and the fact that people are still retweeting and liking it like it's some brand new piece of information is probably scarier at this point than the fact that the issue still exists. You are locked in already to Mike versus LeBron, Jordan versus James. You don't need this documentary to reopen that conversation. I feel like that's just an excuse. That's an excuse to circumvent boredom. That's an excuse to get around the fact that once this thing is over tonight, what else are you going to watch? All right, what else do I do? Now what? Now where am I to watching this documentary and going to another show? Maybe it is Money Heist. Speaking of which, at the Grand Theft AC0, highly recommend Money Heist. It's one of the best shows on Netflix. More people coming in, more people weighing in on this show. Maybe we've missed something. Now, a couple people saying they're not watching at all. Rose O'Neill at RoseMo1010 lived it. Don't need to watch it. Andy at Murnut, not watching, catching up on Curb, then Homeland, Westworld. What? Now, I don't get that. Unless, of course, you're going to watch it tomorrow morning and you don't want Westworld to be spoiled. But look, he's just catching up on Curb, then Homeland. I guess there are some sports fans out there that aren't watching this documentary. I just assumed that people would be. Now, at Wasabi12, so my Wi-Fi is out. Would I be wrong to wait until tomorrow after it's fixed or hotspot and watch it tonight on my laptop? Well, Albert, I'm glad you tweeted that because we talked about this a little bit in the second hour. I don't think you're missing anything. If you wanted to wait, now that's the difference. Andy tweets not watching, catching up on Curb, Homeland, and Westworld. That's different. Albert clearly is going to watch this thing. He's just needing to wait until he gets his Wi-Fi situation figured out. Like Gary Anderson, the dart thrower in Scotland, you got to get that thing situated. You're not wrong to wait until tomorrow after it's fixed because there isn't anything that will be spoiled. If you can sit through people tweeting, oh my goodness, this is the best thing I've ever seen, and this is why Jordan is fill in the blank, and oh my goodness, this is why we love Michael Jordan, then okay, that's fine. You can do that, good. But if you're worried that you're going to miss something huge, or you're worried that there's going to be this major spoiler, and that's why you have to watch, then not at all. I don't think you're looking at this from a spoiler standpoint. The unedited version is on ESPN. The edited version is on ESPN2. So there's the difference. Dan Weldy at DanWeldy1. We'll read this, come back, get some response for you. You can weigh in on the line as well. 800-224-2004. Are you watching? If you're watching with your children, it doesn't matter how old or young your kids are. But if you're watching with your kids, I'm curious, are you watching the unedited version on ESPN, or are you watching the watered down bleep version on ESPN2? Dan tweets, never liked Jordan, and he punked Barkley. Acted like a friend while he was kicking his butt. Barkley never dropped him when driving to the hoop like Mr. Magoo. That's on you, Chuck. You got played. And then there's something else about Rick Mahorn. Rick Mahorn there 1 year, too. You know, there are people in Philadelphia, people in Detroit, people in New York, people in Miami that don't necessarily want to see Michael Jordan up on this pedestal. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show. It's Expedition Radio.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
Joe Theismann here on Pushing the Odds. How has quarantine life been for you? Probably the most important word that we can all consider is patience with everybody. I know everybody's sort of going stir crazy. I mean, let's face it, this is something we're not used to as a society. We move quite rapidly, but now we're forced to sort of reevaluate the important things in life. I think it's good in that regard. Matt, I've said this for a long time. If you have your health, you have wealth. Wealth has nothing to do with what your bank account looks like. If you have your health, then you are a very wealthy person. Now it's important that we understand that you want to be able to keep social distancing so that everybody can stay healthy. And the more we can practice that, every day that we can practice that, every day we can buy a day for the scientists to be able to come up with a cure or a vaccine, is a day closer to having this craziness ending. Life will never be the same.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call! What'd you make of the president getting asked about Joe Exotic?
No, here's the only thing I don't like. I don't like the fact that Trump was lying to us
about
not having watched Tiger King.
Yeah, right.
Come on. He's going through the whole thing. He's like, is that Joe Exotic? I'm like, yeah, Shut up.
Come on.
Come on, Mr. President. You know who Joe Exotic is.
Everybody does.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call.
You know what? I think Tiger King is probably going to be the thing.
That'll be.
How did you get through the great quarantine? Let me tell you the story. A guy and his tigers, and another guy and his sex cult, and a woman that fed her husband to the lions. I mean, it's just going to be.
Do you think Oklahoma, in some way, some fashion, or maybe the country as a whole, we should have a Joe Exotic statue? A place,
a great idea.
A beacon of hope, a beacon of lights that we can all travel to once the quarantine is over. So
Take
we
our
can do
families.
mass gatherings. So generations from now, we can sit there and say, guys, this man right here is what got us through.
How did you figure out you could split the Twitch screen?
Extension. The great hero. Of the
I can add. I have the ability to share my screen.
Oh, okay. So whatever you have on your screen is what you're. Oh, okay, I got you.
For San Antonio, check out culturemap.com to get the scoop on the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, Culture Map has it all. Just head over to culturemap.com. The expert team personally reviews.
Yeah,
and
so I'll do
visits
that with
each
Les
spot to
now
make sure
too.
you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free Culture Map updates at culturemap.com.
This is SB Nation Radio,
At SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studio. Ton Shander.
Put it out on Twitter at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show, and SB Nation Radio as well, where you can weigh in on the line 800-224-2004. As we talk to Ryan, open up this hour in Cleveland, talking about the excitement for this documentary. And even as a Cavs fan, well, granted, Ryan said he's from Vegas, but now in Cleveland, I imagine, just for the purposes of this conversation, people in Cleveland and elsewhere, Jordan ended a lot of people's hopes and dreams. And we talked about this from a player standpoint yesterday. Which player, which basketball player in the history of going up against MJ had their legacy impacted the most? And that, of course, negatively, because if you're with him, then it's going to help you exponentially. But whose legacy was hurt the most by going up against Jordan? And we went back and forth. Basically, the Jazz players, mainly Stockton and Malone, were a popular pick at the top. But I told you that I didn't necessarily think that they were the most, as far as tarnished or hurt, because people still look at Malone and Stockton individually, collectively, as some of the best ever. And rarely is it brought up about, well, Malone didn't win a ring, even like it is brought up with the Charles Barkley. But now, just looking at cities, I mean, think about this. Put it out there for which city do you think hates him the most? And I gave a couple of suggestions: Detroit, Philadelphia, Miami, New York City, who aren't so big on watching The Last Dance. Now, what city hated MJ the most? Rick Lorenzen at Rick Lorenzen 23 wastes no time. 23, huh? Wonder if there's any connection there. No time, and says Salt Lake City. Now, as much as I think the legacies of Stockton and Malone were not hurt as much as maybe other guys who went up against MJ, I will say that I do think Salt Lake has to be right there at the top of the list. I can't imagine that this is going to be an uber popular documentary in the greater Salt Lake City area. Like, a lot of people remember the push-off. A lot of people remember 2 straight finals in which Michael Jordan just gutted the Jazz. And the Jazz were good and then got better, and it still didn't matter. At Buddy Spitz, John tweets in, Detroit booed the ever-loving bleep. See, that we do have to edit out. If you're watching this on ESPN TV Mature, you probably get that bleep. Detroit booed the ever-loving bleep out of him during his retirement tour. I respect that. I do respect that. Now, this is a good answer. Don O'Brien tweets in at DOB23. Great question. My knee-jerk reaction was Detroit, but they actually owned the Bulls in the late 80s. See, that's it. Jordan had to get over that hump. So for a while, bad boys, Jordan rules. For a while, the Pistons were sending the message to Detroit. It was like big brother, little brother. And then all of a sudden, little brother had this growth spurt. And it was like, oh my goodness, I can't back him down anymore. So Don continues and says, then I say NYC, but he was born in Brooklyn, and New York City fans respect the game. So he goes off the board with Indiana or Cleveland. He killed them both. Now, Indiana is a sneak one. Indiana is not a bad one at all. Indiana hated that man. And you did have, the crossover with Reggie, but the Pacers themselves, Pacers fans did not like Michael Jordan. Cleveland, I think, is definitely an obvious one. Look, there's even a belief that Jordan signed off on this documentary the same day the Cavs had their championship day parade simply out of pettiness. I don't know. Maybe it's easy to believe because Jordan is the king of petty, which also shows you and maybe illustrates you how the average person, wow, you're a petty. You're so petty. And then you look at like these ridiculously successful people in their own worlds, like Michael Jordan. Pettiness drove this man. There's nothing more outside of gambling. I don't know if there's anything more than pettiness that drove this man. And if you don't agree or you don't remember or you don't believe me, then just wait 25 minutes until this thing pops up. Yeah, Nance and that Cavs squad was good on Twitch, but they still got their hearts ripped out. Salt Lake, Cleveland, those have to be right there at the top. New York, I agree, especially when you had that Knicks, those teams that, what was it, Charles Smith had the ball stripped from him 4 or 5 times going up for a layup. Knicks always had that team where it was like, this is the year, we're going to do this. And then, of course, Michael Jordan was the reason why. A Jordan team, a Jordan-led squad was the reason why you got upended. I do think, though, Detroit is a great one. The problem is they actually owned the Bulls and Jordan before things switched. It was a 180. Man, it might actually be Cleveland. When you look at the two cities that hate Jordan the most, does it not have to be Salt Lake City and Cleveland, the two teams that he gutted more often than anybody else? We'll go to the nation's capital, see exactly what the Skins plan on doing next in the NFL draft.
Hey,
yeah,
Garner, I need you to reconnect for me. You can hear it when I send you the audio, but that last 5 minutes, you were cutting in and out so bad.
We understand that hardships may arise.
Okay,
and we're
I wonder
prepared
why.
to help.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it just started this last segment, and it's not good at all.
All right, let me try.
At rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information.
How's that?
I can hear it. I can hear it when you say it. It's breaking up, man.
Hold on.
After I left baseball.
How about now? Check. 1 2 1 2.
No, I can still hear it. I can still hear
So
it.
I don't know what's going on because I'm on a hard line.
No, it sounds bad.
I got back into the
Way to connect on the brick.
Try, yeah. Connect over.
All right.
Messaging to
Check.
And guys,
No, I can't. The brick's busy.
Eugenics samples are not available.
Shit,
In stores.
what do you wanna do?
Your complimentary bottle. Text MAIN.
Is it too bad to run?
That's MAIN to 321.
Yeah, try the brick again. I just cleared it.
Okay.
Stay.
All right, I'm here on the brick. Check.
Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to besthotelrates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room.
Check. 1 2 1 2 1 2.
It's in the name.
got you. We'll try this one, but I can still kind of hear it.
Timeshare owners.
I wonder why it's doing this.
I'm not sure.
It wasn't doing this on
timeshare
Twitch.
Thousands of timeshare owners are getting out of their
Hi,
timeshare
Les.
contracts. With the help of timeshare
Hey,
compliance,
it's John with SB
timeshare
Nation Radio. How you
compliance
doing
can
today?
legally terminate, tear up, shred,
I'm doing pretty
eliminate,
good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
trash your
You ready to
timeshare
talk
agreement,
Western?
ending your payments forever, saving you thousands.
Awesome. I
So
really
whether you're a
appreciate
victim
you
of a
joining us.
high-pressure
We got
dishonest
about
sales agent,
30
or you were
seconds
misled
before we
with
come
what you
back.
were
We'll get
buying,
going.
or you overpaid and they underdelivered, call Timeshare Compliance now for a free consultation.
Yeah, so Twitch says that there's no problem with the stream. And what's concerning is that the stream is running on Wi-Fi, yet the box I'm on is on the hard line.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds bad.
Timeshare
It's gotta be
Compliance
on
is
your
A+
end, right?
rated by the
I'm not sure.
63 800 718 2963.
Shit.
800 718 2963.
What do you want to do?
Other than give it a try, I don't know what else we can.
This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's a
Mike's hot.
Well, there's no way they'll trade out, right? Everybody believes that the draft starts at 3, right? I mean, even here in Philadelphia, we don't, the jokes write themselves. We don't believe that it's a possibility, but it's the NFL. It's a different type of draft, and you never know what the heck could happen down in the nation's capital. And we're talking, of course, about the football team, not anything else. And we bring in one of the great writers in the National Football League, Les Carpenter, joining us on Twitter as well, at Les Carpenter, 8-time Chandler, SB Nation Radio. Having a little technical issues on my end, Les, so feel free to talk and be as long-winded as you like. First and foremost, thank you for the time, Les, and appreciate your insight today. Hope you and your family are well in D.C.
Yeah, it's pretty good here. We've had some nice days finally. It was cold, so we're nice to get outside and do yard work. It's about all you can do these days. So between that and the draft, I'm pretty busy.
I imagine. Now, it's a little different, right, with Cincinnati and Washington, because the expectations are the picks already locked in. Let's start with an obvious one. Probability, percentage that you can apply to the likelihood that Washington trades out.
I don't think the Redskins do. I think they're pretty set on taking Chase Young from everything I've been able to gather from everyone I've talked to. I think it would take an awfully large haul for them to make that move. And I don't know, I think they'd be open to it, but it would have to at least be 2 number ones, maybe a third number one. I know people have said maybe Miami was really interested in doing that you could get the two of Miami's number ones and, that early second round pick and maybe, but I think it would have to be an overwhelmingly large haul for the Redskins to have to make this move now. I think they're pretty set on Chase Young.
Yeah, and look, that's not a bad thing, right? You're getting one of the preeminent defensive linemen that we've seen in a long, long time, Les.
Yeah, and the thing is that you sit there and you kind of look at it, you can say, yeah, the Redskins are not a player away. They were 3-13 last year. And there's a lot of playmakers, respectively, potentially in this draft. They need a left tackle, maybe depending on what happens in Trent Williams' situation. And so, this tackle's at the top of the draft. But yeah, you could certainly make an argument for trading down if somebody was interested in trading down. But Ron Rivera, and defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio are both very aggressive defensive guys. Rivera built a team in Carolina early on with a very, very good defensive front. That is the Redskins' strength. There's a lot of really good defensive tackles on this team, and a couple of good pass rushers. Ryan Kerrigan, maybe a little later in his career, and Montez Sweat certainly with promise. But you add in a Chase Young terrorizing those quarterbacks, and chasing Dak Prescott around or Carson Wentz. I'm sure that's what's in their minds. It could make the rest of that defense better. So I think that overweighs any of the, or outweighs, I should say, any of the other kind of possibilities that are out there, unless the trade offer is just so good.
Right. We here in Philly are convinced that Brian Kerrigan is going to be a member of that team so long as they have to play the Eagles 2 times a year. All right. So I'm curious, just a hypothetical. And I think it speaks more to just overall need and maybe the mentality of Ron Rivera and people inside that organization regarding a quarterback or anybody new coming into this team this year. Hypothetical for you. Let's say that they're not drafting 2, they're drafting 3. It's still Burrow and Young. What would the Skins do at 3 with a player?
That's a good question. I'm going to guess that maybe somebody like Isaiah Simmons would really intrigue them. Again, you've got a head coach who was a linebacker. You've got a defensive coordinator who was a linebacker. They love versatile players. Certainly Rivera does. And that might be the ultimate of versatile players. There is almost anywhere. To me, he would jump out at me, as an obvious choice for them. Maybe a Kudai, maybe a tackle, but I still think that they would probably, go defense first on this one. I don't think they're going quarterback. I just don't think they've looked a lot at the quarterback. Obviously, they did a little bit of due diligence on Tua and Burrow just because you never know what happens. I mean, what if Cincinnati out of nowhere just, pick Chase Young?
Right.
You got to be prepared. But I don't feel like that's where they're going. It seems like they've made a commitment to Dwayne Haskins. I think Rivera has seen some promise with him. I think he believes that he could be a good quarterback and, would like to work with him. That's at least the message I've been given from people. And I think they kind of like the attitude that Haskins had when they came in. Back in the glory days when you could actually go to the facility and everybody could talk. For those few months here early in the year, he seemed like he had done that, and everything I kind of heard was sort of glowing about the effort they thought he made. So I think they're sticking with him. At least that's the impression I get, and that's another reason why I just don't think there's a whole lot of quarterback talk of like a Tua or somebody like that for the Redskins.
How much of this offense will be built around Terry McLaurin? I mean, another guy that we now know in Philadelphia is going to be giving us nightmares. That's why you trade for a Darius Slay. But when you look at it from the Skins standpoint, how much of this offense will be built moving forward around McLaurin?
Well, obviously a lot of it, but they need playmakers to go with them. I mean, remember, this was a team just 2 years ago had 2 really good tight ends, Vernon Davis and Jordan Reed, and now they both, neither may ever play again. Obviously, Vernon Davis is retired. I don't know what, Jordan Reed will play again or not, but either way, they're not on the roster. You need tight ends. And they really don't have at this point a receiver that goes with McLaurin, and that obviously hurts what they could do with him. They're going to have to figure that out, whether they figure it out in the draft, whether they think they can develop some guys, whether there's maybe a lower pick in the draft that pops out or a free agent that comes along. I think they see this as more than just a 1-year thing. I think they look at this year's draft or whatever they're doing in the off season as kind of something where they can build a culture and then move on, and maybe next year start to really be competitive. But yeah, they've got to get playmakers, and McLaurin's a wonderful player, but they need more than him. And so that's something that I think to watch with the Redskins over the next year is who do they develop as that other receiver. Now, they took a huge swing at Amari Cooper in free agency, and it would have been interesting to see what their free agency would have been if they had hit on him. But in the absence of that, who will that guy be, or guys that they'll develop to go with McLaurin, and they're going to have to figure that out.
Les Carpenter joining us at Les Carpenter on Twitter, covers all things for the Skins for the Washington Post, Eitan Shander, SB Nation Radio. What's the goal this year? New head coach, and clearly I don't think the expectations are from last year to this year to win the Super Bowl, but even in Philadelphia and Dallas, it's a very tenuous hold that these two teams have on this division. It's weak. It's not expected to get that much better. Is the goal less simply to be better than the Giants, or is there a legit shot that they can win this division?
I really think the first goal is to build a culture here. And obviously that's a little trickier to do now because the facility's closed. You're not getting to do as much in the OTAs and things that you would have been able to do if they, if they had those. It looks like we're probably not going to have OTAs, and if, who knows? Maybe it'll just go straight into training camp, and there'll be much of a training camp. In a way, it's kind of similar to Ron Rivera's first year in Carolina, which was during the lockout. The same thing. You didn't really get a team until training camp. That team improved a little bit over the previous year's team. I think they jumped by about 5 wins. And I think that would be kind of the goal here. Be better than, 3-13 team, obviously, but build a culture while you're doing it. I feel like in Carolina, that's what they did. And it kind of set the groundwork for then the division title that came a few years later. The Super Bowl came a few years later. I think that's kind of the same approach that Rivera wants to take here. So I don't think it's a matter of we're going to go and try and, win 9 games and maybe contend for the NFC East. I don't know if they expect that to be a realistic goal. Their defense could be surprisingly good, but I think the offense is going to lag behind that. More likely, they're kind of thinking maybe this could be a 7-win team and kind of hang in there, and you build the kind of the foundation for then next year when they have a ton of cap room and can maybe do some more things and build on what they created this year. Then maybe next year they're more competitive. There's the one thing about the NFC East. You're right; you can jump back in pretty quickly, but I think they're not looking at division title this year. I think they're really trying to build something long term.
What do you think Ron Rivera will be able to do that maybe other head coaches under Daniel Snyder have not been able to do?
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a matter too, I think, of has Daniel Snyder changed? I mean, that's something we were told over and over and over again.
Do you believe that?
There was sort of well, yeah, it's an interesting question. It was sort of and if you talk to people around the team, they say there was a little bit of an epiphany for him that things weren't working the way that they were. He wants to take a step back a little bit, stay out of it. I mean, obviously that's a tough thing for him necessarily to do, and it'll be interesting to see. I think the one thing Rivera brings is that he's very much a guy who is in control. You could certainly see that in Carolina, but he's also not a guy who gets sort of, he's pretty unflappable, and I think he might be a personality who can kind of handle Snyder a little bit. Some of the other guys that they've brought in, that they've put in charge of the whole organization, like Mike Shanahan or Marty Schottenheimer, for that were guys who, they were very forceful personalities and they were very stubborn. I feel like Rivera has a personality that might be able to work with Snyder a little bit, and while he still kind of maintains control, there isn't necessarily going to be that the two heads banging into each other. It may be a little bit more like the Joe Gibbs second run with the Redskins. Obviously, Snyder had unbelievable respect for Gibbs and probably gave Gibbs more leeway. But it did, obviously they were able to work together, and that was probably the best run of the Snyder era.
Right.
I would think that that's what Rivera could bring, is an ability to sort of mesh his personality with Snyder's a little bit while still maintaining control of the team. They really haven't had a guy exactly like that in the run of coaches here. So that'll be interesting to watch.
Les, I'm curious just on your way out, and thank you so much for the time tonight, the discussion on the Skins of the draft. The Last Dance is going to air 8 minutes from now. And outside of Chicago, I feel like Washington is the other unique city approaching this tonight. There are plenty of cities that are going to be reminded Michael Jordan gutted their team year in and year out. What was the relationship for those 2 years and beyond with Michael Jordan in Washington, D.C.?
Well, I wasn't here, although I ironically did cover that first game. And certainly in talking to people and reading about it, I think there was the excitement of having him here. But, it wasn't an outrageously successful time for the franchise. Right. For a franchise that hasn't been outrageously successful in a long time. So I think it was a little bit awkward. DC has changed so much as a city since then. The population has blown up so much more. There's so many people have come from so many other places since then. At baseball and hockey have kind of found a reach in the city that didn't have before. I don't know. I don't feel like there's a huge legacy of Jordan's years here. It's not like it's talked about a ton. It feels like DC's kind of written a new sports history in recent years. At least that's the feeling I get. And so that's kind of faded in the past a little bit. It's amazing to me to think that was almost 20 years ago that happened here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's amazing. DC has changed a ton in 20 years, maybe more than a lot of other cities in the U.S. So there's kind of a lot there, but I don't know that I see the great memories of his time here the way that maybe some other athletes created those here, like Ovechkin, some of those guys.
Well put, Les. And you're right. There's a lot active from the hockey team, baseball team. Look, I'm sure that there's even people out there that have hopes this football team will turn things around at some point. Thank you, sir, for the time, and appreciate it, and hope you and yours are safe.
Same here. Thank you very much.
You got it. Les Carpenter, one of the best NFL writers in the business, at Les Carpenter is how you follow him on Twitter. Money Heist. Were we told about that last night and we just gloss over it? We'll wrap the hour next here on SB Nation Radio.
Pushing the odds.
Dude, about halfway through that interview, it just cleared itself right up.
Really?
Angry I've ever.
Yeah, you'll be able to hear when I send you the audio.
That's so strange.
Patrick's sitting here. He's going to do crosstalk.
Okay, good. Do we have time?
Involved.
Okay, good.
Actually, how these things work. But I do remember it because it was radio promotion. We were at the paintball place, and I think we were just getting on each other's nerves like 20-year-old dudes do. And you put your hands up, and I took a free shot at you. And you did not appreciate it one bit. So I don't know if I ever apologized for that, but if I didn't, sorry, man.
I remember my rib cage being like so sore for like 3 days afterward. You hit me like 4 times. It wasn't like one shot. It was like multiple pulls of the trigger too that you got me on.
Geez,
So.
it's like you completely have not forgotten about it.
Pushing the odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Bum Phillips, Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, the Love You Blue era Houston Oilers. Experience 1970s football with red, white, and Columbia blue. The new audiobook at Houston79.com. A game-by-game recap of the 1979 Houston Oilers season, featuring player interviews and new insights. Step into the huddle for legendary games against the Steelers and Cowboys, and relive one of the most controversial plays ever, the Mike Renfro play. Red, white, and Columbia blue. Download now at Houston79.com. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
Did you see the latest on Kevin Durant where he said he played with a bunch of athletes, but not a bunch of guys that could shoot or play? Dude, Russell Westbrook and James Harden were on your team. I get it. Kendrick Perkins wasn't a very skilled big man. Thabo Sefolosha was a great defensive guy, and that's it. Don't do this 6, 7, 8 years later where you're calling guys out. You sound like a candy ass when you do that. I thought it was soft as hell when he left, but to not be hypocritical, it is free agency. You are free to go play wherever the hell you want when you're a free agent. But why years later are you trashing guys that you used to play with? And whenever you're healthy again, you're now going to play again. I'm going to tell you, if I'm Russell Westbrook and I'm James Harden and I go against Kevin Durant, I'm putting the Slim Reaper on his rear end. Tell him, shut the hell up. You were part of the reason we couldn't get the job done.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call. I mentioned the draft is going to be a virtual event. We kind of know that. You know, everybody's going to be in home locations and everybody on computers and whatnot. But how many of us will be watching this just to see if it falls apart? This is the aspect of the draft. We're going to see who's getting picked and what teams did what, who moved up in the draft to get who, and all of that we normally do. But how many of us are watching for the Joe Burrow feed to just collapse at the right time?
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. This is SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios.
Mike's hot.
Hector.
Patrick Creighton comes your way across all SB Nation radio platforms, joining us for a minute or two before we say goodbye. Did you tell us to watch Money Heist last night?
I did.
Okay. And typical of me, because you giving out a TV recommendation would be like me giving out anything that you are good at giving out. And, you know, TV, you were pleading and begging for it. So I think it just glossed over. I was like, all right. And then I had my TV guy on and he said, Money Heist. You got to watch Money Heist. And John correctly reminded me, hey, you know, Creighton slid that in last night and you just glossed right over it like it didn't even happen.
If I was a hot chick, you would have caught on real quick, though.
I would have, but I already know that you're not. So you recommend Money Heist?
Oh, dude, this thing is awesome. Now it's originally filmed in Spain, so you will notice the mouths don't match the words because it's dubbed over. You don't have subtitles. It's just dubbed over in English. So the mouths don't necessarily match up.
Right.
But it's high quality stuff. I went and looked it up. It's actually been nominated for 30 awards and won 23 of them.
Wow. I didn't realize
thing
this.
Is killer. And yeah, I think I just finished the first season.
Okay.
It is, dude. I am so into this thing. I love this show.
I can't wait, man. I'm going to watch this starting this week. Now, tonight, you go up against The Last Dance. I've gone up, not the Super Bowl, but I've gone up against conference championship games. This has got to be like one of the bigger events you've gone up against, right?
Well, it's probably a pretty significant event. You know, we've gone up against, you know, NHL.
I have all the
finals,
confidence in the
Stanley Cup
world you're going to
finals.
handle it. Exactly.
We're going to have a kick-ass show. We'll probably even talk about it because I'll probably try to watch it while I'm on.
Nice. Creighton coming up next. All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, Aton. Catch you later, man.
You got it, brother. Thanks, John.
Yes, sir.
See you guys on Twitch. We will do it. Peace out. Monday at